Activating live stream. Initiating YouTube stream.
Fascinating.
There we go. Oh yes, my friends! It's time for the Unfiltered live stream. The overtime is coming up in just a moment. Oh! Big show today, lot to cover. I'm really glad you're here for the live stream version, because you guys get even more. I got special clips just for you coming up. So I don't have much more to set up. So probably just another couple minutes, and then we'll fire off the overtime. Just checking in on the live streams right now, seeing what's being talked about in the mainstream before we go. Just kind of like a one last pass here. You know how I do.
Decency, norms to which society generally agrees and to which we adhere, and we continue to see the Trump presidency eroding these lines. Some of the people marching alongside Nazis in the Klan in Charlottesville were
Hey, it's that same Vice video. So we'll watch this while I set up, and then we'll get started with the overtime. This isn't really this is just something I'm pulling off YouTube.
Very fine people, President Trump said, as he drew a line of moral equivalence between white supremacists and those who protested the white supremacists, days after one of those Nazis drove purposefully into a crowd and killed Heather Heyer.
Nazi!
Or last fall, after U.S. Senate candidate Roy Moore was credibly accused by women of having sexually abused them when they were in high school. One of the victims as young as 14.
Yep, Trump's fault.
Republicans withdrew their support for Roy Moore, except for President Trump.
God, what a dick.
Who doubled down.
Double down.
To this list of
Double
those
down, Trump.
marching alongside Nazis and those accused of sexually abusing children.
That's right.
The White House has now added someone accused by 2 ex-wives of spousal abuse.
Uh-oh.
CNN's Caitlin Collins reports that White House officials have been generally aware of the accusations that White House Staff Secretary Rob Porter has beaten his ex-wives. Today, the White House is still standing by Porter, attesting to his character and his excellence. Before we begin today's report, I just wanted to once again note a further erosion of standards for what I thought we'd all agreed was not okay, not acceptable, not moral. White supremacist rallies, child molesters, domestic abusers, another moment where the White House is sadly no longer considered a place of the highest standards in the land, but rather a place where our national standards are being degraded. This afternoon, White House Staff Secretary Rob Porter resigned over the objections of the White House, following reports of spousal abuse claims by 2 ex-wives, Colby Holderness and Jennifer Willoughby, who told CNN's MJ Lee that Porter abused them while they were married to him. One of those ex-wives has photographic evidence she says proves her claim, a black eye. Both of these women shared their claims in interviews with the FBI during Porter's background check investigation. Minutes ago, Press Secretary Sarah Sanders continued to stand by Porter, saying that President Trump has, quote, full confidence in his abilities and performance.
Jake don't like
Earlier,
that.
Sanders said Porter was not pressured to resign. In fact, far from it.
Look, I think that was a personal decision that Rob made, and one that he was not pressured to do, but one that he made on his own.
Porter, in a statement today, called the charges against him by his 2 ex-wives false and vile, but he did not explain how his ex-wife got the black eye or why 2 ex-wives are accusing him of abusing them. The reports first appeared in the Daily Mail and The Intercept.
Just in, Jake Tapper's children report him to be a very angry man. More on that at 11. He really hates Trump. It's so great. Oh, man. It just blows his brain apart. He doesn't even understand. It's interesting to watch that, isn't it? And they lead with the accusations. It's just getting old. It's so obvs, you know? It's just so obvs these days. All right, one last pass before we move into the horn. See. Yeah. Nope. We won't do any of that. We won't. Boy, we got a whole bunch in the. Let's see. This is a weird one. This is just a weird one. Let's start off with a weird one. Let's see what. I don't even know what this is gonna. Actually, this is a good chance to see. Make sure I have Dragon Player set for where. Aha, I do. All right. See, I'm rocking the new KDE 512, the Plasma 512 desktop here, and I was just double checking that my file defaults are correct. But this is Defense Secretary Mattis. So you know the guy in charge of the military that Trump has deferred basically all major military decisions to. This is him talking at like a defense budget hearing.
Our first line of effort emphasizes that everything we do must contribute to the lethality of our military.
I apologize. His levels are very low. This is actually pretty boosted already. It's just a C-SPAN recording.
In war, an enemy will attack a perceived weakness. Therefore, we cannot adopt a single preclusive form of warfare. Rather, we must be able to fight across the spectrum of combat. This means the size and composition of our force matters. The nation must field a sufficient, capable force to deter conflict. If deterrence fails, we must win. To defend our way of life, our military will embrace change while holding fast to traditional proven attributes that make us the most formidable force on any battlefield. Those who would threaten America's experiment in democracy must know, if you threaten us, it will be your longest and worst day. To implement this strategy, we will invest in key capabilities, recognizing we cannot expect success fighting tomorrow's conflicts with yesterday's weapons and equipment. Driven by this strategy, next week you will see in our FY19 budget investments the following: space and cyber, nuclear deterrent forces, missile defense, advanced autonomous systems, artificial intelligence, and professional military education to provide our high-quality troops what they need to win. We will prioritize rebuilding readiness while modernizing our existing force. We will also be changing our forces' posture to prioritize readiness for warfighting in major combat, making us strategically predictable for our allies and operationally unpredictable for any adversary. Our second line of effort is to strengthen traditional alliances while building new partnerships. History is clear that nations with allies thrive. We inherited this approach to security and prosperity from the greatest generation, and it has served the United States well for 70 years. Working by, with, and through allies who carry their fair share is a source of strength. Since the costly victory in World War II, Americans have carried a disproportionate share of the global defense burden while others recovered. Today, the growing economic strength of allies and partners has enabled them to step up, as demonstrated by more than 70 nations and international organizations participating in the Defeat ISIS campaign, and again in the 40-some nations standing shoulder to shoulder in NATO's Resolute Support mission in Afghanistan. Most NATO allies are also increasing their defense budgets, giving credence to the value of democracies standing together.
Translation, more money is being spent by all of our buddies around the world. More money, more money. I know it's a little dry, but that's why I didn't put it in the show. But there's actually, if you read between the lines, quite a bit of good information in there. So I wanted to share that with you guys. I wanted to share that with you. I got one more I'll share with you, and then we'll kick off the overtime. This is just for you guys.
All right, sitting the campaign trail, President.
Jeez, I'm sorry. Remember how I said I'd boosted another clip? No, jeez. Oh, you know, I don't like this clip, actually. And I remember this guy's just so fucking obnoxious. Let's see. Where's the other one? Let's go with this one instead.
This morning is following a troubling pattern. There are reports of yet another chemical weapons attack on Sunday. We proposed a Security Council press statement condemning these attacks. So far, Russia has delayed the adoption of this statement. A simple condemnation of Syrian children being suffocated by chlorine gas.
U.S. Ambassador Nikki Haley condemning reports of recent chemical attacks on innocent civilians inside Syria and blasting Russia for aiding and sheltering the Assad regime. Joining me now is former UN Ambassador John Bolton, a senior fellow at the American Enterprise Institute,
Mr.
and a Fox
Hawk.
News contributor. Ambassador, good morning.
Glad to be with you.
Some serious charges from Nikki Haley there on Russia aiding Syria in this?
Well, I think there's every reason to believe she's correct. Look, we've had over the past several years uncounted numbers of incidents where chemical weapons have been used. I don't doubt the rebels would use them if they had them. And the Syrian government has often alleged it was the rebels who used them rather than the government. But I think the evidence is overwhelming that the Assad regime has used chemical weapons.
I'm going to stop here. Of course, it's overwhelming. But I'm just noticing tearing there in the video, and I want to see if I can address that before we kick off the overtime. You may have noticed that as well. And that seems to be one of the things I have to deal with. Yeah. So on the Plasma desktop, I have to enable this new setting. So here's the NVIDIA control panels. And I have two screens. I have my screen that I'm looking at, a Dell touchscreen. And then I have a Blackmagic capture card, capture card that I'm doing HDMI into. And so I set that to mirror my Dell screen. And one of the things that I have to set on a per monitor basis is, now that I'm in KDE, I have to go to Advanced here, and I have to check this box that says Force Composition Pipeline. I guess what they say here is even when no transformations or rotations are applied to the screen, it will force the NVIDIA driver to use the compositor. I guess the driver tries to bypass the compositor when there's no rotations or adjustments made to the screen, which sounds so NVIDIA. Anyway, so now I hit that. I hit apply. Okay. Now if I go back to that video, we shouldn't see any tearing. So let's double check on that now. We should have no tearing.
Before, during, and after Barack Obama's alleged
go back
team
a little
has,
bit.
other than the
Yeah,
government.
no tearing
But I
now.
think the evidence is overwhelming.
See, there we
that
go.
The Assad regime has used chemical weapons before, during, and after Barack Obama's alleged deal with.
So that solves my screen tearing. So if you have something similar going on, and you have the NVIDIA driver, consider going into your advanced options and checking that force to go through the compositor. That may solve your problem, because that solves my tearing problem, as you can see. And it's kind of a pain in the arse because, and I could probably figure out a workaround. I haven't yet. But as far as I can tell, I have to reset that every time I reboot the system. And so what happened here is I just forgot to go in there and check that box after I upgraded this thing to Plasma 512 yesterday and restarted to make sure everything went solid. And I just forgot to go back in there and check that box. So I had screen tearing. Now, if I'd already started the show, I would have to either just let the tearing continue or stop recording and go in there and check that box. So I'm glad we played some little pre-show clips. Because that's, you know what? That just tells you. You always need to show up early on the live stream so that way Chris has something to play for you. He feels motivated to entertain you. And then we find problems before the show kicks off. That's how that shit works. It's teamwork, guys. Okay. So I'm going to hit start. The FM stream isn't working yet, but I think Beard will probably have that resolved shortly. Beep, 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 beep. This will be the overtime, the overtime. Now, all of y'all just help me with the title suggestions as we go. Of course, it's going to be more important once we get into the main show itself, but here we go. This here will be the overtime. Oh, shoot. I just realized something. This is such a crazy only Chris problem. You're not gonna believe this. So, as you that tune in often know, I give a shout out to our new patrons at the beginning of overtime. But there's a little bit of a oh, what? Oh yeah, my soundboard settings got reset, so that doesn't loop anymore. See, I got technical issues, guys. There's a bit of a technical snafu this week. I've been reloading all of my systems to Plasma, and that includes my rock. I need to cut that better. My rock, my X2Go system, that I connect into from the studio that has all my confidential information on it, is being reloaded to Plasma as I attempt to make an experimental Plasma X2Go workstation. Now, what does all that mean? That means that I don't have my list of new patrons on any of these computers right now. So this entire time that I've been rattling off this story to you, I've been pulling up the list over here so that way I could give a big shout out as we go into the overtime. So it is, Tiger Stylus. All right, there we go. Now we can start the overtime. Stand by. It's overtime time. Oh! Stop. I forgot this new play. It doesn't go full screen. Fucking shit. Batten down the hatches. Hide your kids. Hide your wife. It's overtime time.
Reclaiming my time. Oh my gosh, it's Anderson Cooper, everybody! And I know that each of you understand you have the power. Say whoa!
Mommy needs a joint.
A big thank you to our 6 new patrons this week. Oh! You guys are great. I appreciate every single one of you. We'll start off the week with the most challenging one. It's like they're trying to get me. Tiger Stylus. Our first new patron this week, Tiger Stylus. Michael, D-Board, Cooleen. That's a great one. Cooleen. And Will Edge. And Matthew J. You are our new patrons. Thank you. Thank you for staying woke this week. I appreciate you, and I appreciate everybody at patreon.com/unfilter. This here overtime, this packed overtime this week, it's dedicated to you amazing sons of bitches. Thank you so much for supporting the Unfilter show. We have so much to get into here in the overtime. You know, the Oh Nancy segment's my favorite place to start, and I like to make sure you understand that it's not because I'm just picking on the very rich Nancy Pelosi. No, I mean, that may be an element of it, though I don't think so. It's really about, I've been like a dog on a bone. Boy, you should see Levi with bones. Well, I know I have a whole new understanding now that I got a studio dog. I have a whole new appreciation for that expression. Anyways, Nancy Pelosi. She's pulling quite the stunt today. Quite the stunt. She's been going for 6 hours trying to make a political statement. It's a bold political move out of nowhere. Even when her party is already kind of all on board with the new budget deal. So what's going on? Why is Nancy Pelosi all of a sudden making some big stand? Why is she taken to the floor to defend the Dreamers? Well, you have to understand a bit of context. In fact, it's the very reason we've been doing this Oh Nancy segment for so many weeks. Nancy Pelosi represents the possibility of a full, all-out inter-party war for the Democrats.
It will be an intra-party war. House Democrats contemplate a post-Nancy Pelosi world. By Heather Cagle and John Bresnahan. Nancy Pelosi is betting everything on taking back the House in November, and most Democrats are confident they'll pull it off. But what happens if they fail? A stealthy discussion is already underway within the Democratic caucus, particularly among members whose only experience in Congress is in the minority. Assuming Pelosi either leaves on her own or is pressured to step down, her exit would trigger a messy battle between the party's old guard, led by House Minority Whip Steny Hoyer, Democrat Maryland, and the party's younger members, represented by House Democratic Caucus Chairman Joe Crowley, Democrat New York. It's a generational showdown that's been put off for years, but one that Democrats might not be able to avoid much longer. It will be an intra-party war. That's what you can expect, said Representative Alcee Hastings, Democrat Florida, who predicted a mass exodus of Democrats if they don't win the House in November.
A mass exodus if they don't win, and it's going to be Nancy Pelosi's head. So that's the context why Nancy Pelosi is taking a stand, and she's going to go as long as her leadership minute allows. Now watch very closely, especially if you're watching the video version.
I yield 1 minute to Leader Pelosi.
Yep, that's your good buddy, Maxine Waters. Her and Nancy are working together on this one. Even when they're working together, though, if you watch carefully, you'll notice that Nancy Pelosi was completely unprepared for what is obviously a planned political stunt. Watch her fluster.
I yield 1 minute to Leader Pelosi.
Generally is recognized for 1 minute.
I mean, it's so much better if you can see it, because she's literally like flustering for papers. She's like whispering to Maxine, even though this was obviously a planned thing. I don't know if maybe Maxine was supposed to take a little bit longer, because I can't quite, I'll boost it a bit. I can't quite make out what Nancy's saying.
Pelosi.
Generally is recognized for 1 minute.
Yeah, I can't make it out.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I thank the gentlelady for yielding and congratulate her on her extraordinary leadership.
So this is the beginning of what turns out to be a 6, or at least as I went on the air, a 6-hour stand. She may still be going. I don't think so, but she may still be.
As the ranking Democrat on the Financial Services Committee, she has been a champion for America's working families, protecting consumers, protecting the taxpayer.
Yeah, she's talking about Maxine.
Doing so in a very balanced way, sensitive to the needs of all parties concerned. I'm so proud of her leadership and her service. Thank you,
so proud.
Congressman Waters.
So proud.
Mr. Speaker, I rise in opposition to the bad bill for hardworking Americans that's on the floor today.
Here we go.
The cynically named Mortgage Choice Act provides anything but choice. Instead, it raises costs on consumers who have few alternatives.
And she actually she's done pretty well. I tuned in throughout the day and watched her. But some of her fellow Democrats weren't quite in the same fighting spirit. Watch as Representative Matsui dozes off during Pelosi's filibuster.
When she came. In 2007...
Now, if you're watching the video version, she's the gal sitting behind Nancy in the orange jacket, and she looks very sleepy.
Until we graduated summa cum laude from the University of Cincinnati with a degree in finance.
And they're closed. And she has fallen asleep while Nancy Pelosi's talking. And if it wasn't for the fact that Nancy Pelosi's about to blow her nose, she'd probably drift off into some wonderful dreams. Keep watching.
She then worked as an accounting firm. She dreams of becoming a certified public accountant.
Nancy Pelosi turns and begins to blow her nose, which then, unfortunately, wakes the representative up.
To be explain what America means
I'm
to
up,
her.
she says.
Quite simply.
If you're on the audio version and you have the supporters saying, I encourage you to go get that clip because that's pretty great. Falling asleep right there is pretty great. And so, yeah, Nancy Pelosi won't budge.
Democratic leader Nancy Pelosi is on the House floor talking about Dreamers and calling for Speaker Ryan to commit to a vote on an immigration bill, as Republican leader Mitch McConnell has in the Senate. She says if Ryan won't commit to this, she's going to oppose the Senate deal.
Why should we in the House be treated in such a humiliating way?
So what is this about? It's about the fact that now Politico and other well-read DC magazines are openly speculating about an inter-party war, about how Pelosi has to go. And there's a meme developing. I feel like the Unfilter show has been on top of this, but the meme is, every time Pelosi speaks, more people vote Trump. Every time Pelosi speaks, more people vote Trump. That's going to be devastating for her if that takes off. And there's commentators now on the various cable news networks that we all hate that are trying to push that meme. I'll tell you, there's one individual speaking to the cable news networks that I had to toss, 4 of his clips out just because it would have been all Cucker all the time. Cucker Tuckerson was on fire this week.
Devin Nunes's 4-page memo looks like it won't be the last declassified document to shake up Congress. The House Intel Committee just voted unanimously to release a Democratic counter memo, one that seeks to rebut the assertions in the 4 pages that Nunes released on Friday. If you're keeping up with this, we should be able to see the new memo soon. And no matter what it says, that's probably a good thing for everybody. For the first time in generations, Americans have reason to believe that our intelligence and law enforcement agencies gravely misused the powers we have given them, violating the civil liberties of Americans and taking sides in political contests. Well, you can't trust a government that would do something like that, and many Americans don't. That is a disaster in a democracy where the trust of the population is key. And transparency is the only antidote to that. So release all the documents, all relevant documents, and let the rest of us decide what they mean. Maybe that'll make us trust our government again. Nothing else will. Well, Democrats disagree with that. Just last week, party leaders and their lackeys in the media were yelling at the rest of us about how releasing the Nunes memo would constitute a deadly threat to America. They said that for days. And then the memo came out. Whatever you think of the memo's conclusions, you got to be honest and concede there was not a single thing in there that you should not have been allowed to see. There were no classified weapons programs discussed, no names of secret agents revealed. Democrats, it turns out, didn't want it released because it might embarrass them. So on Friday, we spoke to California Congressman Eric Swalwell. He's a member of the House Intelligence Committee, right in the center of this. And we asked him the obvious question. None of this should have been secret in the memo. Why did you fight to keep it hidden? Well, Swalwell didn't answer that question. Instead, he accused us of betraying our country. Here's part of the exchange we had. In the case of today's memo, what specifically have I espoused that empowers threats to our country?
I love how he perks up.
You're peddling the narrative that the Trump administration is putting out, which also is the Putin narrative, because they're retweeting this with their Russian bots. This, if you're on the same side as WikiLeaks and Putin,
I wonder, do you perceive
if you're on the same side as WikiLeaks and Putin, you should take a step back and wonder, whose bidding are you really doing?
Whose bidding are you really doing? So for wanting to see the memo, we are treasonous agents of Vladimir Putin. You probably grew up reading about the McCarthy era, where demagogues in Congress made baseless claims of foreign collusion, destroying the lives of American citizens in the process. You probably didn't think you'd live to see it happen again, but it has. About a year ago, we spoke to another Democratic member of the House Intelligence Committee, Adam Schiff of California, and we asked him another obvious and straightforward question. What evidence do you have that the Russian government hacked John Podesta's email account? Often alleged, never proved. So we pushed. Schiff got squirrely. We pushed him again. Here's what happened. Can you look right into the camera and say, I know for a fact the government of Vladimir Putin was behind the hacks of John Podesta's email?
Absolutely. The government of Vladimir Putin was behind the hacks of our institution and the dumping of information.
Of John Podesta's email.
Not only in the United States, but also in Europe.
Okay, you're not, you know what, you're
such a turd.
And Tucker,
no, look and say, I know they did John Podesta's emails. They hacked those.
And I think that Ronald Reagan will be rolling over his grave at your carrying water for the Kremlin.
I'm not carrying water. You're a sitting member of Congress on the Intel Committee, and you can't say they hacked.
You're going to have to move your show to RT Russian television.
Love that.
Carrying water for the Kremlin, disloyalty to America, treason. In a single year on this show, we've been accused of betraying our own country by more than 20% of the Democrats in the House Intelligence Committee. What is this about? Part of it, obviously, is politics of the most cynical kind. The Democratic base has been fed Russian conspiracy theories for months now, and they're primed to believe literally anything on that subject. Within hours of appearing on this show last week, Eric Swalwell was out raising money on our, quote, attack on the rule of law. Our questions were an attack on the rule of law, by the way. Well, that's dishonorable and untrue, but at least it makes a kind of sense in a sleazy Washington way. But what if these guys are actually starting to believe the lies they tell? In a speech last week, Adam Schiff...
That's what I'm thinking, actually. So I've been watching a lot of Adam Schiff recently, so the speech he's about to play a clip from, that you can find over an hour of Schiff on the internet at this event, and I watched it trying to understand Adam Schiff. And I believe that Adam Schiff has a belief system that the Russians were involved here. It may just be that he is removed enough from the people behind the scenes and he's just bought in because he's one of their soldiers and the soldiers don't question the leaders. And he really believes it. And Cucker here is about to play a clip that is maybe one of my favorite moments from his over hour-long talk.
In a sleazy Washington way. But what if these guys are actually starting to believe the lies they tell? In a speech last week, Adam Schiff accused Russia of a crime so bizarre that even the most diabolical Soviet-era leaders never would have dared attempt it. Watch this.
They also trumpeted the Second Amendment. Apparently, the Russians are very big fans of our Second Amendment. They don't particularly want a Second Amendment of their own.
This is at a college. You notice that he used the words trumpeted, too. That's no mistake.
They're very big fans of our Second Amendment. They don't particularly want a Second Amendment of their own, but they're really glad that we have one. The Russians would be thrilled if we were doing nothing but killing each other every day, and sadly, we are.
Oh, you see what he's saying there is that the Russians want you to have your guns. You're being influenced by 4D chess player Vladimir Putin because you want your guns. That's what he's saying to these college students.
Fans of our Second Amendment. They don't particularly want a Second Amendment of their own, but they're really glad that we have one. The Russians would be thrilled if we were doing nothing but killing each other every day, and sadly, we are.
This guy is a monster. You see, so what he's done is he has internalized the Russian threat. I think when he goes on CNN and says the Russian bots are influencing Twitter, he may actually believe that to be true. Like, he might actually think that there's no way the U.S. people would want to release a memo. It must be Vlad. It must be Vlad. And that's his belief structure here. It's remarkable. And the whole hour he's like this. He truly believes.
They also trumpeted the Second Amendment. Apparently, the Russians are very big fans of our Second Amendment. They don't particularly want a Second Amendment of their own, but they're really glad that we have one.
Go kill yourself.
The Russians would be thrilled if we were doing nothing but killing each other every day, and sadly, we are.
Man, does that not fire you up a little bit when you hear that? Like, that gets me angry.
So if you're following along at home, how determined are the Russians to destroy American democracy? Well, so determined, says Congressman Schiff, that they will even attempt to promote our own Bill of Rights. Next thing you know, they'll be reprinting the Federalist. Oh, the Slavic mind. Dastardly. This is demented, and there's no other word for it.
Say it again. Say it again. It is starting to feel demented. It's crazy.
Mind. Dastardly. This is demented, and there's no other word for it. It grows, of course, from our ruling class's unwillingness to face the lessons of last year's election. Voters rejected them. They can't accept that. They blame Russia. We get it. But at what cost, all of this? Schiff and Swalwell are not college professors. They're not CNN anchors. They're members of one of the most powerful and important committees in the Congress, one charged with overseeing our vast intelligence apparatus. They're supposed to be sober and thoughtful and smart, but they're not. Instead, if you dare ask an uncomfortable question, they accuse you of working for a hostile foreign dictator. Strictly speaking, that's a death penalty offense, by the way. This is your opposition party. These are the people who are supposed to be giving us an alternative to Trump, who they claim is too irresponsible to rule. But they're more irresponsible, and they're angrier, and they're more reckless. And most terrifying at all, they are poised to take power. 9 months from right now, at the midterms, they may. Chances are, in fact, they'll be running Congress again. These people, the ones who cavalierly accuse fellow Americans of treason, who mock civil liberties, who believe the U.S. Constitution itself is some kind of Russian ploy. They'll be in charge. Adam Schiff will be chairman of the Intel Committee. If there was ever incentive for the Republicans to get their act together, seriously, and do it fast, you just saw it.
This is CNN Breaking News.
Yeah, he's on fire this week. He's completely right. That is a sad state of affairs when Tucker Tuckerson on Fox News can be completely right on this, and our politicians can be completely wrong. I think if they manage to seize power as this form of the current Democratic Party, it will be short-lived. They have to become more of a populist party. They have to become more representative of the middle class. That's where their strength lies. And as long as they continue to be these corporatist monsters who align themselves with corrupt intelligence agencies, they're not going to hold power for long. It's just how it works. And in the meantime, everybody else can spin this in different ways, and they are. Take CNN, for example. They're not spinning this as obvious corruption and abuse of the FISA courts and obvious abuse of the, of course I'm referring to the revelations in the memo, an obvious abuse of surveillance powers. No, instead, it's none of those things. It's none of those things. It's not a red flag about the use of FISA and the NSA and the FBI and the obvious political bias that's there. No. It's about Sean Hannity.
Let's be honest. This week, Sean Hannity won, and the rest of America lost.
And you see, what CNN and others are doing here is brilliant because it works. It works at a subconscious level. It makes you think that this is Sean Hannity's victory. And people just freaking hate Sean Hannity. And so if you can go, this is like, it's like a side channel attack. They're side channeling attacking your brain. They're bypassing your logic core, and they're directly accessing memories of hate for Sean Hannity, and they're single reading those and exposing those back to you to make you think that this entire memo gate situation is a Sean Hannity hype bubble.
The pro-Trump media, led by Hannity, has circled the wagons around President Trump. They've distracted people about the truth involving Trump's Russia ties.
And also keep in mind their close relationship with Adam Schiff.
And they've done everything possible to destroy faith in Robert Mueller's probe.
Now, this is the line that just completely blows my mind. The Nunes memo is meant to distract from the Russia investigation. In fact, that's just what he said. He just said that.
And they've done everything possible to destroy faith in Robert Mueller's probe. And look, Hannity won. It worked. You got to give him credit where it's due. Hannity gave a megaphone to the GOP congressman who said they had a smoking gun memo proving a deep state conspiracy against Trump. Hannity hyped it night after night after night in January like a human countdown clock.
We have massive breaking news tonight, the biggest, frankly, we have ever reported on about the Russia investigation, and they will make Watergate look like an insignificant blimp on your radar. A source is telling me this is going to all be proven right. I have a message tonight for the special counsel, Robert Mueller. Your witch hunt is now over. It is the biggest national scandal by far in our lifetime. What we are uncovering here is far worse than Watergate. People need to be held accountable.
He's not actually wrong. Seltzer Water here will try to pitch that as crazy, but this is way worse than what Nixon did. This is way worse. And now you have text messages about Obama wanting to be directly informed.
Trump reportedly watched that and loved it, and he told aides the memo needed to come out because it would undermine Mueller. And on Friday, we all saw the coverage. It was never going to live up to the hype, when you've got Hannity
What did he say there? What did he just say there? I'm sorry, I didn't hear what this broadcast professional just said.
coverage. It was never going to live up to the hype.
It was never going to live up to the hype. I think that's what he just said.
Saw the coverage. It was never going to live up to the hype when you've got Hannity talking about this being Watergate times 1,000. But the noise around the memo doesn't make much sense anyway. Devin Nunes alleges surveillance abuses, even though he recently voted to support greater surveillance powers. And the timeline doesn't make much sense either. But come on, when you're trying to confuse people, that doesn't matter.
Says the person who's intoxicated and coming and not leaving any facts down there at all. I love seltzer water, especially this part of it, though.
All the questions.
Wait for it, this part.
Let's be honest. This week, Sean Hannity won, and the rest of America lost.
That is beautiful framing. He just got CNN just got all of their value out of seltzer water right there. That's
honest. This week, Sean Hannity won.
Oh, people hate that. People hate that. So that's actually, yeah, despite his totally lousy ability to make a point, I think he really nailed that line. And that's going to get people fired up. That frames it in their minds as this is a right-wing media thing, which gives them the excuse to ignore the details about what the memo actually said. And I think that's the key thing, is if you give them an emotional excuse. Well, this is that goddamn Sean Hannity, that son of a bitch over there who's constantly, I think he's a birther. He hates Hillary. That Sean Hannity's a real monster. We should boycott his sponsors. We don't need to pay attention to any of this memo stuff because it's just that Sean Hannity. And it works. It works. I see it in people that I know and respect in my life. I see them getting triggered by the name Sean Hannity and then just dismissing everything about the memo after that.
Just moments ago, we received the former FBI director, James Comey, sent out this doozy of a tweet.
Oh, a doozy.
Quote, all should appreciate the FBI speaking up. I wish more of our leaders would take heart. American history shows that in the long run, weasels and liars never hold the field, so long as good people stand up. Not a lot of schools or streets named for Joe McCarthy.
Fascinating. What does that mean? What is he even saying there? What kind of defense is that? That doesn't make any sense. Big Kitty and I both agree that there is one thing that's been in the news these last couple of weeks that makes us sad. And that's that Representative Gowdy is not going to seek re-election. I think he's one of the more effective representatives, so it's a major disappointment.
I don't know about it.
I want to ask you about the other big news of the week that you made. You surprised Washington with announcing your retirement, that you're not going to run for Congress. Why did you decide to leave?
You know, I enjoy the justice system more. I enjoy being fair. I enjoy the pursuit of fairness as a virtue, and I'm just more comfortable in that system. My wife hates it when I say this, but I was a pretty good prosecutor, I think, but I've been a pretty lousy politician. So I've done it for 7 years. I'm really grateful for the opportunity to do it, but it's time for me to, whatever time I got left, I want to spend it in the justice system because that's where my heart is, and
why do you
that's
say
where
you're a
my
lousy
interest.
politician?
I see multiple sides of a single issue, and the fact that someone disagrees with me does not make me challenge their love of the country. It doesn't make me believe that they're corrupt. I've got a lot of friends on the other side of the aisle. We disagree on this issue, but I don't question their love for the country, and I don't think the end justifies the means. I think the manner in which we get places matters, and in politics, too often, winning is the only thing that matters. And look, every hero I have is lost, every one of them. So losing is not the worst thing in the world. Not knowing what you believe and not caring enough about it to fight for it, that's the worst thing in the world.
Do you think you served justice in your time in Congress?
Not like I did in my previous job. I tried.
Ouch.
It's about winning in politics.
Ouch.
And that is not what the courtroom, there's a reason we throw out search warrants even though we find a murder weapon. There's a reason we throw out confessions even though we think the person did it. The process matters. The end does not justify the means. And in politics, it's just about winning. And I don't want to live like that.
Congressman, thank you for coming on
Thank
and
you.
telling your story.
Wow. And you got to wonder if this recent experience, so he's one of the 2 Republicans that have seen the actual underlying intelligence data and the FISA court submissions that the Nunes memo was based off of. And it was after he went through that he announced this decision. Could be a coincidence. Could be that he saw what was going on and realized that D.C. is so screwed that he's got no runway as a politician. And the only chance he might have to do something good is to bring some of these sons of bitches to justice. I hope that's why he's quitting. I hope his plan is to screw some of these corrupt politicians from inside the Justice Department. I'm very skeptical because it seems that the head of the Justice Department is clearly a political office and seems to be able to control what happens beneath it. But Trey Gowdy has a way of making noise, so you never know. Speaking of making noise, when you need to get funding, you make noise about saving the children.
A staggering statistic from Kentucky's Attorney General. Any given moment, 500,000 child predators are preying on children. 9 on your side's Brianna Malloy got a behind-the-scenes look at a cyber crimes unit that is tracking down tri-state criminals and their advice on how to keep your kids safe.
The cybercrimes unit here in Frankfurt has helped track down thousands of child predators. And they say these predators come from every walk of life.
This unit has arrested a former police officer, police sergeant here in Kentucky.
Southern Indiana minister.
A Lexington firefighter.
It doesn't matter what neighborhood you live in.
Well, we made an arrest, I believe it was early last year, of a U of L researcher who had babysat 2 kids that I know right down the street from me.
Those investigations.
This, I can't help but see this as intentional narrative framing to scare the shit out of parents. They make it sound like their little tiny local corner of the world is under threat by predators all over the world.
2 kids that I know right down the street from me.
Those investigations and thousands more were led by this man, Tom Bell, from the cybercrimes unit.
You would think you'd see it all in the job that we do, but yes, there's always something that surprises you.
Bell's unit has sophisticated methods for taking down criminals, from posing in chat rooms to hacking phones to elaborate setups.
We've launched larger and larger operations.
But how can we keep our kids safe? The best way is to pay attention.
What is this app? Why do you have it? What are you doing with it? Who are you talking to?
And Bell also recommends that parents charge their child's tablet or phone in their own room so predators can't contact them at night.
It's not about trusting the kid. It's about not trusting the rest of the world.
And as parents look out for their children, Bell will be here hunting the criminals.
Oh my goodness, that's thick. I hope you brought something to break that thick, creamy taste.
I sometimes will see my kids when I'm working these investigations, or think about my kids while I'm working these. So it's very worthwhile. It's very rewarding to be able to find these people and take them off the street.
You should be thinking that too.
And the Attorney General's office also said that the best way to prevent these crimes is for everyday people to step up and say something. If you suspect that a child is being abused, even if you end up being wrong, it's better to play it safe and tell law enforcement. Brianna Malloy, 9 on your side.
What is your thoughts on the motivation behind that reporting? Let me know in the comments. So we mentioned earlier in the show that Ben Swann was back. He actually released a video about his return. I'm just going to play a bit of it. You remember Ben Swann. And here's his I'm Back video.
Hey there, guys. Ben Swann here, or should I say, Ben Swann is back. Just a few days from now, we're actually going to hit the 1-year mark of when my Truth in Media project and all of my social media went dark. A year ago, can you believe it? That was when I announced to you that those pages and my website were going to be taken down, at least for a while. They were going to disappear. And
I like Ben Swann. I like what he says. I like his careful attention to detail. I like all those things about Ben Swann. But if Ben Swann wants to play in the YouTube space,
actually going to hit the 1-year mark of when my Truth in Media project and all of my social media went dark.
If he wants to play in the YouTube space and be taken seriously, maybe drop the Faux Broadcaster Act a little bit. Like right now, he's doing the old gun pointing at the camera. You know, where you make a gun with your hand and you point it at the camera. Yeah, that's the slick broadcaster shit that we're all just super tired of. If old Ben Swan here was going to use some of his new crypto financing to hire Chris Fisher as a consultant, the first thing I would say is stop putting gel in your hair, take the suit off, and don't make crazy gun pointing at the camera. Take it down a notch and just be a human being.
A year ago, can you believe it? That was when I announced to you that those pages and my website were going to be taken down, at least for a while. They were going to disappear. And I asked you at that time to trust me. You know, for the past year, I have been in a position where I have been unable to talk about truth in media. I have also been refrained, if you will, from having social media.
That's an interesting statement there. He doesn't really go into any more detail in this entire clip, but it sounds like there was some sort of severance package, is what I'm guessing.
I have also been refrained, if you will, from having social media and having a social media presence at all. We're going to get into that later. I'm going to tell you all about why that happened, but I have not been in a position so far to do anything about it. Sun Tzu said this in The Art of War. He said, "Let your plans be as dark and as impenetrable as the night, and when you move, fall like a thunderbolt."
What?
Well, I have been patient and I have been quiet, but that time has now come to an end.
So I think he was probably under some sort of non-compete of some kind when CBS fired him.
And that's all thanks to Dash Digital Cash.
Yeah, that's the weird part here, is so he's being financed by a cryptocurrency company.
Which is now, by the way, the exclusive sponsor of truthandmedia.com and also Reality Check with Ben Swan.
Now it gets even crazier. He's employed, in a sense, by them via a smart contract on the Ethereum network, I think. You tell me. Listen to what he says next.
So excited to tell you about this. So what exactly is Dash? Let's start there. Well, no doubt you've heard of Bitcoin, right? A digital currency, also known as a cryptocurrency. Back in 2013, I actually went and spoke at the Texas Bitcoin Conference, and that was at a time when hardly anybody even knew what Bitcoin was.
This is starting to feel a little... I don't know. This is why I really just prefer funding by the audience. I feel like Ben Swan could have gone to Patreon, and in 2018 he could have been one of the few people to actually get success on Patreon in this current funding climate. He could have actually just probably made a decent living there. I would assume I might have backed him, especially if he was just pretending to be a regular human.
I talked about it at that time and said back then, which by the way I absolutely still believe, is that cryptocurrency and the decentralization of our financial systems was absolutely and is absolutely the future of finance.
That'd be pretty amazing. It would mean that eventually, if you take that to its logical conclusion, doesn't it kind of mean that the US dollar would no longer be the reserve currency? There's a lot of change and progress that's going to happen. I don't think that's one of them in our lifetime.
Now, I have been a believer in and a supporter of cryptocurrency ever since then. I have funded projects with it. I've paid contractors in it. I absolutely believe in the crypto space. Dash Digital Cash is a cryptocurrency, but frankly, kids, it's not just any crypto.
I don't like the kids thing.
Dash is actually, in my opinion, the most technologically superior of all crypto, thanks to features like instant send and private send and the incredibly low fees for trading. It's pretty incredible stuff. And while those features alone make Dash, again, I believe, superior to other crypto, it is what Dash is heading toward, an innovation called evolution that will absolutely change the crypto game.
An innovation called evolution that will absolutely change the crypto game. I don't think any of that means anything. This is really disappointing. I don't know if I like Ben Swan better as a CBS affiliate employee or as sponsored by a cryptocurrency. I think I just have an inherent bias here. I just have a hard time trusting anybody that talks like this. He's selling the Ben Swan brand to promote Dash. Now, that's one thing when you're talking about the Plasma desktop, but that's an entirely other thing when you are talking about things like FBI memos or the death of Seth Rich. Then it just feels like it's a whole... I'm really uncomfortable with it because, that shit really matters.
Toward an innovation called evolution that will absolutely change the crypto game for everyone. Now, back in November, I was approached by some users and supporters of Dash and its DAO, DAO, which... Oh,
stay tuned. Okay, now this is why I'm playing this whole thing for you. We're going to wrap it up here in just a second, but this is the thing that's going to blow your mind a little bit.
I was approached by some users and supporters of Dash and its DAO, DAO, which, oh, by the way, for all you media bloggers out there who want to write about this stuff but don't understand it...
You're going to fuck this up.
Let me explain to you what that is. It is a decentralized, autonomous organization.
Yeah, so a DAO, D-A-O, is a decentralized, autonomous organization. What the hell does that mean, Chris? I barely know, but what I do understand is it apparently relies upon what are called smart contracts that use Ethereum to negotiate and record and track them. That's what a DAO is.
They talked to me about bringing back Truth in Media and Reality Check with Ben Swann. So I created a proposal, I put that proposal forward, and it was accepted by the organization. Again, a note to all you folks who are going to try to explain this but don't understand it.
Yeah, this is really going to take off. I feel like Ben is just one of many that are going to launch. I mean, maybe I would be one of them. I was just, I was about to really go into sort of a rant about YouTubers that are about to do this, but, I also think cryptocurrency has some validity. I don't know about any of this, but if I were to sort of remove myself from Jupiter Broadcasting and think, well, shit, what if Chris wanted to just start broadcasting today in 2018, and he hadn't been doing this for 11 years, 12 years? And I just wanted to go out on my own. I just wanted to go out on my own and start making videos like maybe Ben's doing here. I wouldn't be above working with a crypto system like this. In some sense, it has more legitimacy than a corrupt government that just prints money as it needs for a political agenda.
A note to all you folks who are going to try to explain this but don't understand it. Dash is not a company. It has no board of directors. It is a decentralized peer-to-peer currency. And quite candidly, that is what gives it its power. A large community able to fund projects like Truth in Media and Reality Check without some corporation crushing the voices with which it does not agree.
That doesn't really seem candid. That doesn't seem quite candid either. That just seems to be the nature when you have a bunch of decentralized interests. I mean, like when you start saying things like quite candidly when it's the opposite of being candid, I can't trust you. I want to trust you, Ben.
Large community able to fund projects like Truth in Media and Reality Check without some corporation crushing the voices with which it does not agree. That is the power of decentralization. And that is what is so exciting about this announcement. You see, Dash Digital Cash isn't just helping to create the financial decentralization revolution. It is also helping to create a revolution in industries like in media, where for far too long, too few voices, especially the voices that dissent with repeated narratives, are not allowed to be heard.
I completely agree with him there. That is absolutely accurate.
You know who I'm talking to. If you have followed my work, then you know this. You know that I absolutely believe that the left-right paradigm in media is fake. I believe that corporations and politicians and special interest groups, they have gamed so many systems. They have gamed the financial industry, the healthcare industry, the political systems in America, and yes, they have also corrupted our media.
What I would like to have a better understanding of is, so who is it that's paying you? Because it sounds like you're being paid by an anonymous group that is running a cryptocurrency, which that could be awesome. I mean, that could be maybe ideal, but it also could be like super frickin' shady and really, really like somebody with that level, with that kind of funding model, you really don't know who's funding him. It's all too vague. I did a little Googling to really try to figure it out. I don't really understand it. I don't understand what their motivations are. It's hard to... If you have any insights, if you have any perspectives on this, please let me know either in the Discord or tweet me at ChrisLAS, or if you're watching on the YouTubes or on our Patreon page, please let me know there, because I'm trying to kind of understand what the money behind Ben wants, because I've really appreciated Ben Swann's coverage in the past, especially on the Seth Rich stuff. I mean, he's just been completely on point, and having followed it pretty closely myself, he's never really said anything that's been inaccurate. So I really appreciate his coverage. So I'd really like to kind of get that question answered. So if you have any insights, please let me know. Any method that would work for you to let me know, because that's something that's pretty important to me. Let's switch gears to the Vegas shooter. That's something I've been following in the overtime for a while because there's just a lot of weird stuff.
Strange circumstances continue to swirl around the Las Vegas shooting 4 months ago. Here's the latest. The Clark County coroner has refused to release the autopsies of 58 shooting victims in response to a court order. It did release them, but it refused for some reason to release the autopsy of shooter Stephen Paddock. The coroner claims the autopsy is still being finalized even after all this time. Dr. Michael Bodden is a forensic pathologist, and he joins us tonight. Doctor, this seems like a very weird explanation, or maybe it's not. You've got perspective. Tell us.
Well, coroners and medical examiners have always got to obey judicial orders, period. It may be in a situation where the autopsy findings may be important in a criminal investigation that the district attorney, or in this case the FBI, asked to hold off the release so it doesn't interfere with their investigation. But that sounds very unlikely in this situation.
So, okay, don't fry the bacon just yet.
Well, I mean, they're saying this was a single shooter event, and they haven't suggested there's anything outlandish that we don't know about. So what could possibly be the connection between the autopsy results and the continuing investigation? That's confusing.
Yeah.
That sounds like, especially when the body has been cremated, as I understand, so that I can't think of a reason.
Oh, well, that's actually kind of weird. At least they burned it. At least they frickin' burned it.
Turkey's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has accused the U.S. of plotting against Ankara in Syria.
Yeah, here's something else that we've been tracking in the overtime is the situation in Syria is shitty. So Turkey wants to just wipe out the remaining quote-unquote terrorists that we've backed. We don't call them terrorists, but Turkey's calling them terrorists, and we've been not so hot on that. Just leave them alone has been our position, and Turkey's like, that's our border. It would be essentially as if Canada was radicalizing, paying, arming, equipping, and giving intelligence to terrorists in the northern mountains of Mexico. And so everybody's trying to settle this thing out and say, okay, let's just get rid of them. Let's disband them. Can you clean them out? They're your problem. And the Trump administration's basically just giving them the middle finger.
Recep Tayyip Erdogan has accused the U.S. of plotting against Ankara in Syria. It comes amid a fallout between NATO allies over Turkey's operation against U.S.-backed Kurdish militias in Syria.
Why does the US continue to send weapons to northern Syria even after ISIL has been cleared? Why are you still here? Why do these weapons still arrive? You must be plotting against Turkey, Iran, and perhaps Russia.
Ankara began Operation Olive Branch in the Afrin region just over 3 weeks ago, and now it plans to expand it to the Syrian town of Manbij. The town hosts US troops, which helped Kurdish forces defeat ISIL in the area. The Turkish president demanded Washington withdraw its forces from Manbij, threatening to target the US soldiers. Ankara says it started the military campaign in the region to defend its border. That's after the Pentagon announced it was training a so-called security border force led by the Kurds. And though Washington later backtracked on this announcement, the move deepens the rift between the two countries. Hussein Bagji from Ankara's Middle East Technical University says the crisis of trust between Turkey and the US may have catastrophic consequences.
Yeah, actually, I joke, but I think that is true. I think this is one of the biggest stories. And remember, too, they're a NATO frickin' ally. And nobody's talking about it in the press.
At the moment, the Turkish government and Turkish president seem not to be confident towards American policies. Probably this distrust, this problematic understanding between two countries.
It's problematic, guys. You know, it's problematic. Sort of like the shooting down of a Russian plane.
Actually, we can show you some new video, I'm being told, actually, Ian. You might be able to see this. We're bringing it up now. But
this is over Syria. A Russian plane was shot down by militants.
We've seen there we have it, the jet coming down. This is a Russian jet over Syria, just over the border from Turkey. It's coming to us via Reuters. It's amateur video, but as we can see that coming down from the sky, quite extraordinary images. Clearly that jet coming down there, and then it hits the ground. But as you were saying, Ian, we believe that the pilot's ejected before it crashed.
So it wouldn't be a story about a Russian pilot without a unbelievable twist. So if the stories are to be believed, this Russian pilot gets shot down over Syria. And I don't know, maybe he's Tom Cruise. He ejects from the plane, lands on the ground, and begins fighting the terrorists on the ground.
Yeah, that Russian pilot hit the ground and immediately went into action, opening fire on a group of rebels.
Only the Russians, dude. That's incredible.
Russian pilot hit the ground and immediately went into action, opening fire on a group of rebels that were trying to capture him alive before he was gunned down. That's according to several sources, including, interestingly, the Russian military itself, the rebels, and some observers there in northwest Syria. Now,
yeah, he was unfortunately killed, and then of course there was a unfortunate Russian response where the Russian military just bombed the shit out of them. like when you F with one of the Russians, they just bomb the shit out of you every single time, and that's always their response. I was gonna play you a whole bunch of clips about that. I do have them in Supporter Sync if you'd like to watch them. But I'm not over Adam Schiff. I'm still angry about Adam Schiff.
Here to talk about the fight to avoid a government shutdown and the dueling intel memos, Congressman Matt Gaetz, who serves on a number of key committees, including Judiciary, Budget, and Armed Services. Congressman, first of all, let's talk about the Democrat memo, because what the Democrats are doing, particularly Adam Schiff, he's been around intel enough to know what is you can include in a public report and what you cannot include. Apparently, he put enough sensitive information in this Democrat memo that some of it is going to have to be redacted. So now he's saying if anything is redacted, this is censorship. Talk about a ploy.
Well, you're absolutely right, David, and I am tired of Adam Schiff and other Democrats playing games with our intelligence and with the processes that we have to rely on.
What they're really talking about is you stick some crap in there that you know can't be released publicly, so that way then later on you can say censorship. I don't know why it took them so long to say that, but that's what they're trying to get out.
For meaningful investigations. Here you've got a circumstance where clearly the Democrats have chalked this memo full of sources and methods that would hurt the American people if they were exposed. And so, of course, the president is going to have to redact some of that information. But I don't know how Adam Schiff has any credibility left with the American people. Remember, David, when he told us that the release of the Nunes memo would disclose all sources and methods? That turned out to be a complete lie. He accused Devin Nunes of unethical conduct. Devin Nunes was totally cleared. And then Schiff also made the accusation that we changed the memo before giving it to President Trump. He's not even making that argument anymore. So time and again, he's proven uncredible. And honestly, we've got to move past the partisanship on this issue so that we can have consequences for the people who did bad things.
All I can say is, look, the fact is that every Republican, correct me if I'm wrong, every Republican on that committee voted to release the Democratic memo. They voted with their Democratic colleagues to release the memo. At the same time, every single Democrat voted against releasing the Republican memo. How do you find bipartisanship in that?
It's very difficult, but it shows that we're confident in the facts that are laid out in Devin Nunes' memo. Quite clearly, cash at the Democratic National Committee was convertible into a FISA warrant to spy on Americans. That's outrageous no matter which party you're a member of. And look, David, Democrats and Republicans are going to be in power in the future in this country. And I don't want either side to have the ability to use political documents to go and infect an intelligence investigation. We should all be in this together, but unfortunately, the Democrats want to drive division instead of working to make sure that this never happens again.
You know, besides lack of bipartisanship, there's another problem here, which is the FISA judges. Shouldn't they have known? Isn't some of the responsibility on their heads or his head or her head, whoever it was that approved of these things, because they should have demanded from the FBI knowing that Steele's sources were not named,
That's
they should
right.
have demanded from the FBI some due diligence on the FBI's part to track down who Steele's sources were for the Trump dossier. They didn't do that. They just gave it, boom, the stamp of approval.
Well, they didn't have all the facts, and that's where I believe laws were broken, David. I believe that material...
I believe I can fly. Let's continue on, though, because there is a very funny story about Adam Schiff that's coming out this week. He was totally duped by some prank callers.
And what's the nature of the compromise?
Well, there were pictures of naked Trump.
So some Russian pranksters, radio hosts, call Adam Schiff and tell him they have intel on Donald Trump that's been given to Vladimir Putin.
Could I explain you where we are?
Yes, of course. I would just caution that our Russian friends may be listening to the conversation, so I wouldn't share anything over the phone that you don't want them to hear.
That's Adam Schiff speaking, and then these are the pranksters.
No, I don't think that it will impact on our investigation. In November 2013, Mr. Trump visited Moscow. He visited competition Miss Universe, and there he met with Russian journalist and celebrity Ksenia Sobchak. She became famous because of Putin is her godfather.
Okay, Putin's godfather. Okay.
She met with Trump and she brought him one-hour Russian girl, celebrity Olga Buzova, who also known as a person with a strange reputation. And she got compromising materials on Trump after their short relations.
Ooh, he likes that.
Okay. And what's the nature of the compromise?
Well, there were pictures of naked Trump.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Okay, he says. Adam Schiff. Okay. Yeah, let me write this down. Naked pictures of Trump.
And so Putin was made aware of the availability of the compromising material?
I wonder if he's getting a little turned on at this point. Don't you wonder?
And so Putin was made aware of the availability of the compromising material?
Yes, of course. Buzova shared those materials with Sobchak, and Sobchak shares those materials with Putin because she's a goddaughter of Putin.
And you gotta imagine he's thinking to himself, "Oh shit, Putin's got naked pictures of Trump."
And Putin decided to press on Trump.
You have recordings of both Sobchak and Buzova where they're discussing the compromising material on Mr. Trump?
Absolutely. And we also know who was a mediator between Trump and Russian government, who met with ex-advisor of Trump.
And so Schiff goes on to say, all right, give me all the information. I want to see the pictures. My people will reach out to you. And it's starting to get more and more attention.
Speaking of Mr. Schiff, it turns out, and this is very embarrassing for him.
I like how much he loves. He loves that. Do you hear that? Do you hear how much he loves that? He loves it almost as much as I do.
Schiff, it turns out, and this is very embarrassing for him. A year ago,
we're both just loving it because that guy and me, we have one thing and only one damn thing in the entire universe in common, and that's that we both hate Adam Schiff.
It turns out, and this is very embarrassing for him. A year ago, he got on the horn, got on the phone with people. He believed that they were, the people speaking to him were from the Ukraine. And they had information about Donald Trump, who was, it was very inappropriate what they described, involved with a reality star. Turns out, these were two comics from Russia pranking him, but Mr. Schiff fell for it. Listen.
She got compromising materials on Trump after their short relations.
Okay. And what?
I like the short relations. That also implies, and of course Schiff would just totally be into this. Like they're playing him. They're just playing him like a piano. They're even saying that he doesn't last that long in
Trump
sack.
after their short relations.
Okay. And what's the nature of the compromise?
Well, there were pictures of naked Trump.
Okay. And so Putin was made aware of the availability of the compromising material?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. We will be back in touch with you through our staff to make arrangements to obtain these materials for our committee and for the FBI, and I appreciate you reaching out to us.
Taking notes. A staffer followed up, I think, the next day and the next day after that to try to set up a time to get these pictures. Let me see.
He's so desperate. He's so desperate that he'll buy it. Pranksters can get him, and he's ripe for the picking. I love it. I love you guys. Thanks for being here. See you next week.
Mommy needs a joint.
That was good, wasn't it? God, Schiff's an idiot. Gosh. Whew. Good old Trump. Good old Schiff. Good old Pelosi. We got like reoccurring characters at this point. I wish I could say that Trey Gowdy was going to be one of them. I wish I could say that. But as Big Kitty and I have already discussed, Trey Gowdy will not be one of them. He's getting out of politics. He's getting out of politics. So I thought, let's take a moment and talk about some of my favorite Gowdy moments, because I probably won't get an opportunity to do this anymore. And there's so many for me to go through here. I feel like I need to. I don't know. I gotta make some decisions. So I've assembled several of my favorite Gowdy clips, and I just thought perhaps these would be something for us to sit back and enjoy together. So here, ladies and gentlemen, I present you some of my favorite moments from the last couple of years of Trey Gowdy.
Well, I have to say I'm a little confused today because my colleague pointed to an email suggesting that you weren't aware that we had a presence in Benghazi. So if you weren't aware we had a presence, I don't know how you could have interfered with security there. But nonetheless, I do think that's what they're aiming at.
So this, by the way, is motherfucking Adam Schiff cucking for Hillary Clinton during the Benghazi hearing. And let me fast forward through him cucking really quick.
Well, it happened that you weren't aware that we...
Let me just, I can't even stand him. So Hillary responds to Adam's softball.
And to work as hard as I know to try to create more understanding and cooperation.
Oh, yeah. I mean, she's all about that. She's all about that. The unfortunate part is of course, Adam Schiff was shilling and being a D-bag, and he triggered Trey Gowdy.
When California yields back, I'm going to address a couple of things that he said and then recognize myself. Because he invoked the family members of the four, Madam Secretary, and partially this will be for your benefit also, but I want to specifically address the family members that are here. There is no theory of the prosecution, Mr. Schiff, because there is no prosecution. There's a very big difference between a prosecution where you already have reached a conclusion and you're just trying to prove it to people. This is an investigation, which is why it's so sad that nowhere in that stack that you just put up there, where the emails of Secretary Clinton, the emails of the ambassador, 50,000 pages worth of documents, eyewitnesses, that's the real tragedy. To the family and the friends, when you're told that there have been 7 previous investigations in an ARB, you should immediately ask, why did you miss so many witnesses? Why did you miss so many documents? This is not a prosecution, Mr. Schiff. You and I are both familiar with them. I've reached no conclusions, and I would advise you to not reach any conclusions either until we reach the end. There are 20 more witnesses. So I'll agree not to reach any conclusions if you'll do the same. With that, Madam Secretary, regardless of where he ranked in the order of advisors, it is undisputed that a significant number of your emails were to or from a Sidney Blumenthal. Now, he did not work for the State Department. He didn't work for the U.S. government at all. He wanted to work for the State Department, but the White House said no to him. Do you recall who specifically at the White House rejected Sidney Blumenthal?
No, I do not.
After he was turned down for a job at the State Department by the White House, he went to work where?
I think he had a number of consulting contracts with different entities.
Well, if he had a number of them, do you recall any of them?
I know that he did some work for my husband.
Well, he worked for the Clinton Foundation.
That's correct.
Okay. He worked for Media Matters.
Oh, which also you knew about.
I'm sure he did.
Uh-huh.
He worked for Correct the Record.
Oh.
I'm sure he did.
Uh-huh.
When you were asked about Sidney Blumenthal, you said he was an old friend who sent you unsolicited email.
Yeah, that's right.
Which you passed on in some instances because you wanted to hear from people outside what you called the bubble.
Yeah.
We will ignore for a second whether or not Sidney Blumenthal is outside the bubble, but I do want to ask you about a couple of those other comments, because what you left out was that he was an old friend who knew absolutely nothing about Libya, was critical of President Obama and others that you work with.
Oh, fuck.
Loved to send you political and image advice, had business interests in Libya, which he not only alerted you to, but solicited your help for. And you often forwarded his emails, but usually only after you redacted out any identifiers so nobody knew where the information was coming from. What does the word unsolicited mean to you?
It means that I did not ask him to send me the information that he sent me. And as I have previously stated, some of it I found interesting, some of it I did not, some of it I forwarded, some of it I did not.
Yeah, I love, she's such a weasel, huh? And he just keeps going. Here, I'll go further into it now.
Evaluate. Shared polling data with you on.
Actually, you know what? Screw that. I got more clips. I love this one. Speaking of Adam Schiff and Trey Gowdy, I love this one. This is him basically spanking Adam Schiff in front of everybody, which if you watch really closely, Adam Schiff's eye twitches during this.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
There's Schiff right there in the middle. He just looks like such a shit. Of course, Nunes doesn't look that much better.
I have worked for, I guess, the better part of the last 9 months with my friend from Connecticut. He is always prepared. He is thorough. He is every bit as effective as a questioner in private as he is in public. But I would tell my friend from Connecticut, there were Republicans who told President Trump that he was wrong when he accused President Obama of wiretapping Trump Tower. There were Republicans who said it contemporaneous with the claim. So I would just ask my friend from Connecticut, no matter how heated the political debate may get, don't ever lose sight of that fairness and don't lump everyone together. There were Republicans who said there is no evidence to support that, and if there is, produce it immediately. To my friend from California, I would say you are correct. You are correct. We have spent the better part of the last 9 months looking at issues unrelated with this precise reauthorization. But my friend from California is also experienced and bright enough to know that if the problems can manifest themselves in one surveillance program, they can certainly manifest themselves in another, because it's the same techniques, it's the same principles, it's the same players. So why would we wait until similar problems manifest themselves? Why not fix it before it happens? The issues, the word illegal was used in connection with unmasking. There's no illegal unmaskings. They may violate policy, they may be improper. It's not against the law to do it. But we've both been in the room, all three of us have been in the room, when principals with almost precisely the same job description had wildly disparate unmasking numbers.
So that was during the FISA hearing, which I love. I think he just did a great job there. There's other moments too. There's a lot. I want to play this one.
Another House Republican joining the growing list of lawmakers who's leaving office. Now we have Republican Congressman Trey Gowdy just announced that he will not seek re-election come fall of 2018. The House Oversight Committee chairman is a former federal prosecutor and says, quote, whatever skills I may have are better utilized in a courtroom than in Congress, and I enjoy our justice system more than our political system. Congressman Gowdy made a name for himself running the House Benghazi investigation. Remember this?
Madam Secretary, I understand there are people, frankly, in both parties who have suggested that this investigation is about you. Let me assure you it is not. Madam Secretary, not a single member of this committee signed up to investigate you or your email. We signed up to investigate and therefore honor the lives of 4 people that we sent into a dangerous country. My question is, how did you decide when to invoke a people in process and who just got to come straight to you? Because it looked like certain things got straight to your inbox and the request for more security did not.
Yes, personal email came to my personal account. Work-related email did as well.
Let's go to David Chalian, our CNN political director. And
No. No.
We will not waver in our commitment to see that justice is done for this terrible act in Benghazi. And make no mistake, justice will be done.
This is during the Obama administration when he, in particular, was under a ton of pressure about the Benghazi hearing.
That was the President of the United States over a year ago. We're investigating exactly what happened, but my biggest priority now is bringing those folks to justice. That was the President of the United States over a year ago. No one has been arrested. No one has been prosecuted. No one has been brought to justice. We don't even have access to the witnesses. You and the media were good enough for my 16 years as a prosecutor not to tell me how to do my job. And so far in Congress, y'all have been good enough not to tell me how to do my job. I'm not telling you how to do your job. But I'm going to ask you some questions, and if you can't answer these questions, then I'll leave you to draw whatever conclusion you want to draw about whether or not the media has provided sufficient oversight. Can you tell me why Chris Stevens was in Benghazi the night that he was killed? Do you know? Does it bother you whether or not you know why Chris Stevens was in Benghazi? Do you know why we were the last flag flying in Benghazi after the British had left and the Red Cross had been bombed? Do you know why requests for additional security were denied? Do you know why an ambassador asking for more security days and weeks before he was murdered and those requests went unheeded? Do you know the answer to why those requests went unheeded? Do you know why no assets were deployed during the siege? And I've heard the explanation, which defies logic, frankly, that we couldn't have gotten there in time, but you know they didn't know when it was going to end. So how can you possibly cite that as an excuse? Do you know whether the president called any of our allies and said, can you help? We have men under attack. Can you answer that? Do any of you know why Susan Rice was picked? The Secretary of State did not go. She says she doesn't like Sunday talk shows. That's the only media venue she does not like. If that's true. Why was Susan Rice on the 5 Sunday talk shows? Do you know the origin of this mythology that it was spawned as a spontaneous reaction to a video? Do you know where that started?
Yeah, that's right.
Do you know how we got from no evidence of that to that being the official position of the administration?
We called that shit day one.
In conclusion, Congress is supposed to provide oversight. The voters are supposed to provide oversight.
Oh, we are. We are, my friend.
And you were supposed to provide oversight. That's why you have special liberties, and that's why you have special protections. I am not surprised.
I'm doing those without any special liberties and without any special protections. And I still think we were right on all of this shit. We were right on Benghazi. We were right on ISIS. We have been right on the dossier. We have been right on the Russia investigation. We have been right on Seth Rich.
The President of the United States called this a phony scandal. I'm not surprised that Secretary Clinton asked, what difference does it make?
What difference does it make?
I'm not even surprised that Jay Carney said Benghazi happened a long time ago.
That's right.
I'm just surprised at how many people bought it.
Yeah. Fucking walks off like a boss. You see that right there?
It happened a long time ago.
Watch this.
I'm just surprised at how many people bought it.
No wonder he's quitting. No wonder. Fast and Furious. Isn't it interesting? I mean, I know it's in bad taste to pat oneself on their own back, but I think it's fascinating when people don't have another interest, how they call this stuff. It's not just us. And, you know, Trey Gowdy was one of them. He might have been on the right, but he just seems to make sense to me. He's making sense. And it's kind of a shame. It's kind of a shame that he's going away. Let's see here. Let's have fun for a couple minutes. Let's bring the energy level up. This is the most upset reactions to Donald Trump's victory. Let's
now saying the chance of a Trump presidency is 92%.
Here's Chris Matthews. There's Rachel Madcow. Even Megan Fox. Not so happy.
This is the time for real wisdom. Lightning round.
If Trump wins, how about bursting into tears and screaming fuck for the next 45 minutes?
Well, America is crying tonight. I'm not sure how much of America, but a very, very significant portion, and I mean literally crying.
Everybody is crying and so upset, and it is the end of their world.
Feels like the end of the world.
We were on Lifetime last night, and I was slowly getting drunk is what happened to me.
How do we explain how this is possible?
How did this happen? Experienced politician versus racist fake gynecologist.
Get your abortions now, because we're going to be fucked, and we're going to have to live with it.
You're awake, by the way. You're not having a terrible, terrible dream. Also, you're not dead and you haven't gone to hell. This is your life now. This is our election now. This is us. This is our country.
This is a different Earth today than it was 24 hours ago. It's a different place. Because it just is different.
The woman who President Obama called the most qualified person ever to run for the White House couldn't break through. The question remains, who can?
Deeper concerns tonight that the world's shining light of democracy has gone dark.
Decency lost last night, and that's what's so hurtful about this.
This was a white lash. This was a white lash against a changing country. It was a white lash against a black president in part. And that's the part where the pain comes.
I kind of push back against the advancement of African Americans, of Hispanics, of women, of Muslim Americans.
It is a mourning moment for those people, and it is a moment filled with fear.
Because I'm on this network and people know my attitudes about things. They come up to me and they're scared, depressed, despair, desperate even. Almost clinging to me.
It was a rough night for everybody, I think. We're worried. The people are worried. Okay, he's the president. Now what?
It feels like we're trying to avoid the apocalypse, and half of the country is voting for the asteroid.
Is there a doomsday plan for a time like this? Am I right to ask about a doomsday plan? Do you see this as a doomsday scenario?
So if Donald Trump is democratically elected and your son is serving as a Marine, you wouldn't trust his life under that commander-in-chief? And Kane said, I wouldn't. That's a pretty extraordinary thing to say if you have a son in the Marine Corps and that you don't trust the commander-in-chief. The people in the military defend the Constitution.
I can't put a happy face on that, and that's my job.
This is the first time throughout this entire race where I'm officially shitting my pants. I genuinely do not understand how America can be this disorganized or this hateful.
How do you govern when your whole campaign was built on the hatred of somebody else?
From slavery to, Nazism, we have faced challenges before to who we are as a people.
Plus the Supreme Court, who knows where that's going to go. So the only checks and balances we have are us, the View.
How are you supposed to be able to handle a country if you can't handle a pussy? It's not hard. You learn it in middle school.
He said the best ad campaign, the best ground game. This is a shot against meritocracy, I think, because she merited everything. The normal way you standardize these things, she did what she's supposed to do to win.
She was Hillary Clinton, the most qualified candidate, the best suited for the job, the best temperament. Now we're hearing not a good candidate.
History is put on hold yet again.
We have no idea who won. And to cover our bases, we taped two different show opens. First up, here's the outcome I'm hoping for. Hillary Clinton is the next president of the United States. But just in case the unthinkable has happened and Donald Trump is our new president, the show open would look something like this.
Oh, hello.
Guys, I know today has been a crazy day. Some people are sad, some people are scared and nervous about things for a while. So I hope that no matter how you're feeling, you can turn on the Tonight Show and we'll be here to spread some joy and put a smile on your face. That's what we try to do.
I may be moving the camera. This shit.
There's no way around it. This is what it feels like when America is made great again. I was wondering, and I was really hoping it would feel better, because this sucks.
Now, if you're like me, the implications of this have been hitting you in waves. 1 minute you're numb, and the next minute you realise that Donald Trump, this man, will soon have access to the nuclear codes.
It was a rough night for everybody, I think. We're worried. The people are worried. Okay, he's the president. Now what?
And I guess the message that I want to spread out to other women is exactly what you're saying, is not to give up. Sorry, I hate fucking crying on camera, but is not to give up, because this is so important, and it's easy to...
Anybody but Donald Trump. Anyone. We are not going to be okay.
You are this close to handing Trump ultimate power on this planet. Are you insane, you pathetic losers?
Do I have to tell them not to be afraid? They're afraid.
And I do want to say that I've been very vocal for my support for everyone besides Donald Trump. Heavily supported Bernie, heavily supported Hillary. And I still think that in her lifetime she deserves to be the first female president. And that's what makes me so sad.
Hold on, emergency abrupt. Emergency stop.
Abrupt.
Chase says the sack is empty this week.
Yeah, I think it is.
Now, hold on.
Veritunda is usually a staple.
Do we have any Club 33 members watching live right now that could go send something into Chase's sack before we start?
I have to check. I'll have to recheck the sack.
That's going to be embarrassing. I mean, what do we do when we have nothing in the sack?
That's okay, because sometimes Club 33 they need a week off. So
yeah, I know, but we don't have any other plans.
I can do what they do on the radio.
What's that?
Make it up.
Do they? Hey, there you go.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm supposed to say what Fox News does? Oh, sorry. What Hannity does? Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh!
Sorry, all you Hannity fans.
Okay, objectively, what do you think is better?
What?
This is CNN breaking news.
I think the CNN one, right?
CNN, because you
got the breaking news.
You got the breaking news, and you got a little bit of a bumper.
Yeah, you got a little lead up to it.
A little bit.
Yeah, I think the CNN. But I also like the bell.
Fox News alert.
Yeah, I do like. I like the idea
They're
of
both
a
good.
bell. That's good.
I like both of them. All we need now is a Russia Today one, and I think we'll have the gambit set.
So producer Matt has something, but he wants to telegram it to you. Is that valid?
He can telegram
I think that's
it.
acceptable.
Yeah, send it over.
Yeah, do it. Oh, so I'm going down to Microsoft on Friday.
You finally had enough of this podcasting thing, huh?
Yeah, right. No, I actually, it's kind of embarrassing, just a little bit. I kind of stepped into it. I was going on. Microsoft just open sourced PowerShell, and they made PowerShell.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
They made it available for Linux and Mac OS.
Yeah, I totally know that. Yeah.
And I was taking a stab at what the hell's their rationale for it. And it turns out one of the guys that's running the PowerShell division at Microsoft was listening to Coda Radio, and he emailed me after the show, and he's like, "Yeah, you blew that. Why don't you come down here so I can tell you what we're really doing?" And I'm like, "Okay, I'll take this challenge. All right, yeah, right, I blew it. All right, why don't you tell me what you're really doing?" So I have an hour scheduled on Friday, which because you know what it's like it means I'm going to be driving for 4 hours for a 1 hour meeting.
Well, you should take the light rail that doesn't exist.
That'd be nice. Yep. So I'm going to drive down there, and they sent me. It's an email that's this long, just like this. They sent me an email this long about the different buildings that I have to go through, the different elevators I have to take. And he color coded the whole thing for me.
Yeah.
But then when I printed it out, it came out black and white.
When's the last time you've been on campus?
7 years.
I got to tell you,
6 years, maybe?
Since it's been a while for you. It's impressive to me. I mean,
it's a lot of
really
buildings.
is, and there's a lot of dedicated people. Everybody loves to shit on Microsoft because it's funny to do, but honestly, there's some really good people over there.
Yeah, I agree with you. I know. I think you're completely. I think you're completely on point.
Yeah, and I think you're gonna have a good time, man. I really
I'm
do.
sure I will once
Yeah.
I find the place. The problem is that I got to carry all this audio equipment with me throughout like this different maze to get to there. But after I do that,
While you're laughing, the hackers are dropping malware into your system.
Oh,
so
God.
So that's
that just makes me feel terrible to hear that.
What's the matter, buddy?
That makes me physically ill.
I know.
It's just like, hi, hey everybody, Leo Laporte here for Carbonite. We're raising our prices 25%. So make sure.
So I have somebody. This is just. Let's see if we can make this less than 3 minutes because nobody listening cares. It's just for something for you.
Oh, all right. I like that.
I was talking to somebody I work with, who went to a Kim Commando talk.
Oh, this is good. I already feel this is good. All right.
And so then she did a Q&A section, and somebody in the audience asked her what she thought about Leo Laporte's Twit network.
Uh-huh.
Sure as shit, Kim Commando had a presentation ready to go. She launches some slides, and she shows you, here's Leo's shows that make money. Here's all of Leo's shows that don't make money. Here's what Leo should be doing. She went into a whole thing, a whole analysis about Twit.
That's weird.
She talked about how he gives her a hard time for having a paywall on her site, and why she does that versus the crazy CNN network, ESPN network that he's trying to create. Like, she has this whole takedown of Leo Laporte and the Twit network in ready to go into presentation format when somebody asks her a question about it.
All right, creepy.
I know, right? I was like, what? Are you serious? She just had this ready to go? And the guy's like, yeah.
That's really strange. Like, that she would spend the energy and time.
Well, it's her competition.
Why no? But even still,
like, the tech guy just came along and rolled her in a way. Like, you think about it.
Well,
Like,
that's true.
Kim Commando had like the whole 90s and then late 90s, Laporte goes from Dvorak on computers to the tech guy.
Yeah.
And he's way more of a geek than she is, and just sort of like gobbles up like the huge geek market. She's pissed.
Well, yeah, I could see that. I mean, I'm surprised she didn't take the low road.
She had graphics
little double
ready to go.
entendre there, by the way. I
You
don't
know
if
what's
picked
funny
that
though?
up.
She was right. Like, from what she explained to me, she's like, he makes money from MacBreak Weekly, Twit, This Week. Like, she had this whole breakdown of where they make money, where they don't make money, how he's wasting his money, and then she even
well, that's easy.
She even had like if you look at it, he could just do the radio show. And he doesn't need to do anything else. Like, she had this whole breakdown.
Well, and I mean, you've seen the theories on the Twit dirt blog websites.
Yeah.
That, he's hoping to. I mean, the theory is he's hoping he's going to get a settlement out of Twitter, and then he could pay off the remaining of his strip mall lease and just do the radio show from home and the other stuff from home and get out a video altogether.
So let's.
Which would be sad because, I mean,
actually, I think we should talk about that for a second because I think both you and I were led astray a little bit by Uncle Leo. So I have now rebooted several shows as like I focus on the audio, like really well edited audio.
Yeah.
Those shows are doing way better than the half-breed like audio video shows I did. That the shows like Lass and Geek Gamer TV and even Minecraft Me, they're like this weird like half audio show, half video show.
Yeah.
And the shows where I'm just like, this is 100% audio.
Right.
They're doing way better.
Well, I also noticed that you made a little bit of pivot. Instead of trying to direct people to JupiterProducasting.com, like you have direct show pages for the shows.
I think the podcasting network is kind of dead.
Yeah.
I think if we were going to launch this show today, we wouldn't launch it as a Jupiter Broadcasting show. It would be a standalone.
It's just a standalone thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think because people who are good can just go start their own Patreon page.
Yeah.
And you have so many different facilities like Libsyn and Fireside and others that just make
everybody's
it
doing them now.
Super easy to host a podcast.
And it's not that expensive if you do the audio route.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty cheap.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then so on Friday I was talking about how I'm going down to Microsoft.
Yeah.
So I in fact, let me see. I'll just pull this up for you so you can see it. I'm not even making this up. So I'm having a back and forth. I'm going to go see I'm going to see a quote unquote fellow at Microsoft. These are people who are high ranking enough I guess you could. These are people that are high ranking enough where they have assistants and whatnot.
Right.
And read this thread and tell me that.
Oh my God, it's small. Okay.
I know. I'm sorry. It's because it's a screenshot of my email.
Oh, I see.
So that I'm emailing this guy's assistant at Microsoft, and you can see that she's a little stressed out that it might be a video interview, and she's asking about the dress code and how he should be looking. And then when I respond back to her, hey, no worries, this is only going to be an audio interview.
Oh yeah.
She responds back with a it totally changes the tone of our conversation.
It made her feel at ease.
Yeah, she even puts a smiley emoji.
Smiley face. Oh, yeah, it was very. Actually, if you look closer, Chris, that's not just a smiley face.
No.
That's one of those at ease smiley
faces. Yeah, it is. It's like
It's like ah.
Yeah, it's a relief.
Yeah, it's a relief smile.
So I don't know. I feel like if I had never seen Leo try video, maybe I wouldn't have either.
See, I'm actually struggling. So we silently, just to see if anybody was paying attention, relaunched our Minecraft server because we discontinued it once we discontinued the Minecraft Me Show. Because, in all honesty, the Minecraft show got discontinued because without getting, I mean, but I'm just kind of saying generally for the audience, I pretty much put all my content on hold because there was some health issues going on in my family. And so I needed to really refocus on that. And so now that things are pretty much settled down and things are good again, we're talking about maybe we'll relaunch the Minecraft show. And so silently over my birthday weekend, Joe put the server back online, but he's like, the server's not back though. Like, we're not telling anybody. We're just seeing who shows up. And people are starting to show up. And so we're getting people to ask, so you bring back the show? What about the server? And I go, what server? What are you talking about? What server? But I've been thinking, do I, bring back the show the way it was, where we had about an hour-long video show where we showed off content and blah, 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 blah. Or do I focus it on the YouTube audience and slice it up? You know, like
it's a totally different thing, like 3, 5, 10 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. And don't even do audio at all. I mean, it was very easy.
You got to go one or the other,
right.
I feel like.
And like that show, I think it has to be video because it's Minecraft. You need to show people what to do.
Yep.
But if you're doing like a tech content show or you're reviewing what's going on as far as the latest news and you're doing interviews and stuff, I don't know if there's really a benefit for that.
So I think specifically it depends on the target audience.
Totally. Yeah.
One of the things that I think you probably agree with me, and it's super kind of uncomfortable, is if you are successful on YouTube, a huge percentage of your audience are kids.
Yeah.
It's like...
Yeah. Well, it could be, what's that guy's name that was off YouTube for a while?
Casey Neistat?
No, not that guy. The guy that he was in Japan and there was the Suicide Forest, and I don't even know this guy. You don't know this guy?
You're talking about motherfucking Logan Paul.
Oh, that guy.
But like if you look at the analytics, it's kids.
Yeah.
It's kids that are watching video after video after video. It's
this
their
is
cable
parents
television.
who are saying, "Look at just sit, watch TV. I need to cook dinner."
Or they're in bed looking at their tablets. So
buying power.
Here's where I'm going with that. Yeah. What is your let's pretend like we'll take 5 minutes. Let's see. So it's 5:06. So we'll be done by 5:11. Right. If you were coming to Chris and you were doing a consulting session with me.
Hi, Chris.
What is the end goal with Minecraft Me? If you were to relaunch it, do you actually want to sell sponsorships? Do you want to do affiliate links and things like that? Like, is there an intention to generate revenue, or is it more about satisfying a creative itch?
It's the creative itch part. Yeah. I mean, with what I do now and working at Como, and I honestly,
you don't have to do something that makes money.
Right, like
you got a job.
Yeah, I feel like I missed that boat. I feel like nobody really cares to hear. Well, maybe they do. From somebody like me. It's weird because
I know what you mean.
Like I feel like I put a lot of hard work and energy in the past 11 years of trying to create content, not to be famous or anything, but to just see the fruits of my labor, just to hey, wow, I'm getting appreciated for my work. And, I'll put a lot of quality, a lot of hard work into it. It gets maybe 100 views.
But you want something that gets recognition.
Exactly. But there's so much noise, and that's the problem, right?
It's so hard.
There's 1,000 videos uploaded every second, It's just like,
Yeah.
So I don't want to put the hard work and energy into something, and I don't see the fruits of that labor.
So when you stop,
that's my biggest roadblock.
Here's my question. So when you stop doing a show, say if it's Geek Gamer or if it's Minecraft Me, like, what is the most like forward thought in your mind? Is like, this is why we're going to stop for a bit. What is it? Is it because? What is it? Like, what is the thought that's there when you're like a little bit exhausted? You're not in your best state. So it's not like 100% representation of your view, but like when it's time to end the show, I've been there too.
Yeah.
Like there's times like right now I haven't recorded User Air this week because I just can't fucking find a time to do it. I'm not super motivated to record it this week. Like what was the most forward thought in your mind when it was time to end Minecraft Me? Was it I haven't made a buck? Is it nobody's paying attention?
So
it
was a weird perfect storm because there were some major health issues going on with my family that was really distracting me. And
oh yeah, sure.
And B, the support was sustaining. Like it was sustaining.
It peaked though in a sense.
It peaked in a sense,
but leveled out.
But the weird thing is, I mean, it's a very passionate audience. I mean, you probably still get it. For Linux Action Show, you probably still get people going, "Come on, man, bring it back," kind of thing. Or they want to reminisce from the old. But that's why I was always thinking, if I do bring this back, I want to bring it back differently. I don't want to do the same because I feel like if I do the exact same formula, it's going to be
not as competitive.
Like the new screensavers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just not as competitive.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally get that. Yeah, I do.
Like talking to people, and I actually last night, I should say.
Man, and especially now that you got that beard, dude, you should really do it because the beard would play.
This is weird. We'll pivot to the beard. We have
Shay's
2 minutes.
coming back with the beard, like the beard alone. It plays, dude. Not only does it play because it's like a big like visual difference, but it looks good. So
all right. So I was having a conversation with my wife about this actually last night. She's down in California right now. She's taking care of her mom.
Well, now we got to do that User Air. Now we're ready. Yeah, now we got to do it.
Yeah,
maybe we'll plan for next week.
Yeah, I'll let Ange know. What was I going to say? So the beard thing. Yeah,
the beard.
So I was doing some game streaming earlier this week, and some of the videos I will archive up online. And one of the videos, I clipped it out, and I was playing some virtual pinball. I love pinball.
I know you do.
Oh shit! I got to tell you this. There's going to be a state-of-the-art pin bar arcade. You know what a pin bar is? Pinball /bar /
I'm kind of grokking from the name.
Yeah, exactly. Brand new state-of-the-art pin bar is going to be opening up here in Marysville. 25 machines. It's going to be open late in the evening.
When?
By the end of the month.
You gotta let me know. I'll totally go.
Yeah, we have a hangout spot.
Dinner and pin bar.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna bring my audio recorder. We'll make like a show out of it. It'll be great.
Well, here's the best part. One of the best parts. I know the guy who is running this.
Oh, you telling me I can get an interview? We can get a story behind the pin bar?
Not only that. No, even bigger than this.
Okay, because so far this is all sounding good.
You haven't been to my garage lately. I've been secretly testing a rig for streaming pinball.
Oh, okay, a pinball. Okay, all right.
Yeah. So there's I have a camera.
You better hustle. We're out of time.
Camera on top, camera in front, everything.
Shit.
And we could stream games, have some drinks, chat with the viewers. Seriously.
All right, we got to talk more about this. I think we can make this a thing.
This is definitely a learn.
All right.
Reclaiming my time.
We got to get
Sorry,
started.
Maxine. By the way, did you check?
Good stuff.
You guys, did you see my memo? Did you guys see my memo?
No, the memo. We can't have the memo.
Well, I
got to go pee, though. That's the only thing.
Go pee. You got to pee.
Well, I've already hit the record button, though.
Oh, my gosh, it's Anderson Cooper, everyone.
By the way, if anybody likes a golden shower, I guarantee you it's Anderson Cooper. All right, you entertain. I'll be right back.
Yeah, Big Kitty. Yeah, Adam's Family Pinball, #1 pinball machine of all time. Williams Bally. That was a record. More Adam's Family pinball machines were made than any other, and it's still very popular. Medieval Madness, Twilight Zone, all that. If you guys want to check out my memo, go to releasedmemo.com. That's where you want to go, releasedmemo.com, if you want to see the memo that I released last week. I released it. Man, why isn't it hyperlinking? Do I have to do the HTTPS? actually, pinball. Pinball has turned into this new renaissance.
Oh, really?
Because there was one company.
Is it because people love analog or like?
No, it's our generation. They're getting back in touch with their youth, and now they're older. They want a place to hang out, have some drinks, play some pinball. And there's something about pinball that is so cool, better than video games, in my opinion. Is that you're doing something physical. You're actually making a physical contact inside of a game to hit a target, hit a ramp, do something.
Why do you think is that sort of like it makes it physical? It makes it real. Makes it.
It's tangible. You know, you're
like
seeing the actions of your gestures, and you can physically move the machine when you need to. There's really deep rule sets. So like once you start to know a game, then you want to start to learn how to beat the game, because you can beat pinball games, and it's so much fun. And one of my goals is to start doing more pinball streaming. I have two pinball machines in my garage. I usually have 3, but I have one at work. I bring one in to work for everybody to play. But no, pinball's great, and there's a great app. It's called the Pinball Map. You can get it on your phone. They also have a website. I think it's pinballmap.com. And if you're looking for a specific machine, it will let you know the closest location where you can find it, or if you just want to know where the closest place is to play pinball. No, I love pinball. I've always been a fan since I was a kid, and that's the weird thing. Like I started talking to my wife about this, and I was just like, oh my God, the first pinball machine I played was 25 years ago.
Old! I'm sorry.
And I know, right? And then I was like, holy shit, 25 years ago. That's a generation ago. I'm getting old.
All right, here we go.
And on that note,
Bang suggest as we go along, please, in the Discord or the IRC. If you want to get in the Discord, it's discord.me/JupiterColony. Just an Unfilter room. Don't tell anybody. It's a super big secret. Secret. That's why I'm whispering it into this microphone.
I'm the dude, man. Don't buy your kid a bike. Buy him a pinball machine, because when it breaks, then they can learn electrical engineering. It's true.
Okay.
This is CNN Breaking News.
Oh yeah, that's my part.
That's your Cue Chris.
I don't know what I guess I forgot.
Do you need somebody to count you down, Chris?
I thought that's what I don't even know. This, you know what it is this these damn planes. You can hear that, right?
Oh yeah, I can hear it. Okay. Well, Chris, FYI, there is an airport right over there. Just that.
I know, but I don't think that plane is.
No, it's not. It's a hijet.
Yeah. For goodness sake. All right. Well, anyways, what I was gonna say was, this is Unfilter episode. I'll go a little later. I gotta get it right. I don't want to jump the gun. I want to get it right.
Like O'Reilly, you got to do it live, man.
F it. Tide come in, tide come out. Can't explain that. This is Unfilter, episode 268 for February 7th, 2018.
The release of this memo is really reminiscent of the darkest days of the McCarthy era.
Imagine if Devin Nunes is feeding us a nothing burger.
Talk about a nothing burger.
This is extremely dangerous manipulation of information in order to discredit an investigation.
Oh, for goodness sakes, the memo. It could be momentous or it could be a great big nothing burger.
I can say it's worse than a nothing burger. It's like having nothing mustard.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back again to another edition of Unfilter, Jupiter Broadcasting's weekly show about the news you shouldn't be watching. I am Chase Nunes, the original writer of the memo, and over there, the reader of the memo, Mr. Chris Fisher.
Boy, not only the reader of the memo, but the follower of all of the backlash.
Hey,
what a week, Chase.
I did not appreciate them saying that my memo was a huge nothing burger because I really put
you worked
a lot
hard on that, dude.
I did.
I know you did. I appreciate
put it in a
that.
real big font so the president could read it.
With some pictures.
With some.
Yeah, we have a lot to cover this week. We'll be. Here's what I'm thinking, Chase.
All right.
If we can contain ourselves,
Yes.
we got to do cyber. We got to do the cyber.
Well, we always start the show with the cyber,
Yeah,
which makes
yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then let's cover the reaction to the memo and then the actual memo itself, right? As we might be ones to do. So we'll cover the reaction, the contents of the memo, what actually matters in that memo. Then let's discuss the FBI separately, the investigators, some of the rumors, and some of the big like salacious headlines that are coming around the FBI, and then just a little bit on the shutdown because I don't think we're gonna have to worry a lot about it, but I want to get some basics covered for the shutdown. And then we'll wrap this whole thing on a choice high note.
If there is a shutdown, because right now things
That's
are
what I'm
looking
thinking.
cautiously optimistic.
That's what I'm thinking.
And we'll tell everybody what actually memo means, right?
Yeah,
I mean, I'm
yeah.
just
Let's go. We'll get to
We'll have a half hour on that.
Does it feel like the '80s a little bit right now?
At least they're not saying like facts. Or or some arbitrary term.
Okay. So let's do the cyber thing because this is just going to shake us loose. It'll get us
ASL?
ready. Yeah. So, did you know that the Olympics, the Winter Olympics, are already?
They started today.
Did you know that they're the most attacked Olympics in history already?
No, I thought the Russian ones were.
No,
This?
nope. Well,
These?
welcome to 2018.
Oh boy.
Ceremonies in Pyeongchang are less than a week away, but not all the hazards at this year's games will be on the slopes or on the ice.
The Department of Homeland Security issued a warning about cyber crimes, potentially at the hands of North Korea's vast and very capable hacking operation.
Oh man, it's North Korea this time.
Yeah, see, they have Wi-Fi over the border, and so they're just going to beam it at the Olympics.
What you do is you send your elite group of hackers that have been born despite a culture of complete backwards water, no technology. You have these elite hackers, and you send them to the border.
Yes.
Then they connect to the Starbucks Wi-Fi in
Right.
South Korea.
The open Wi-Fi.
Yeah, and then they can attack the Olympics.
And then you download this rogue APK for your phone, and then boom, you're hacked.
One that could target athletes and spectators alike. And some attacks may have already begun.
What?
Wired has been covering these concerns. And this morning, we are joined by its editor-in-chief, Nicholas Thompson. Nick, good morning.
Good morning, Alex.
So everybody mark this date down. This is the moment that Wired went all in on the industrial cyber complex.
Okay, so Wired calls the...
She's laughing. She's literally laughing at it.
She's laughing because it's ridiculous. I think she's.
I mean,
I
in
think
all
she's
fairness.
I think she's smart.
Yeah.
I mean, she's working CBS. She's working Saturdays. She's trying to make a name for herself, and she sees that this is a bogus story.
Nick, good morning.
Good morning, Alex.
Good morning.
Okay, so...
I just love it.
She's like, okay. Let me calm myself. Okay.
Wired calls these games a nexus of hacker skullduggery.
Man, the Nexus is one of these temporal ribbons that flies through space.
How's Wired subscriptions count? Because it must be lacking. They're going for the.
Maybe they need a federal supplement here.
Wow.
That
sounds like Andy Greenberg right there. That's good, right?
Dark stuff. What's happening over there?
So what we know so far is there are two major hacks.
Okay.
You ready for this?
All
This
right,
is what we know.
Wait, I'm ready.
You good?
I'm good. Let's
The
do it.
Russians were mostly banned from the Olympics, and they're not happy about that.
Of course.
Oh.
The Russians, dude.
This is the Russian angle.
So they're hacking into individual athletes. They're hacking into...
So this is the Moscow story.
Organizations. They're
All
trying
over
to show
again.
that Russia is not the only country that dopes. So we've got Fancy Bear on the Russian side doing that.
Fancy Bear, which is the same group that supposedly was able to get John Podesta's emails.
Right.
Then secondly, we have another large hacking organization. We're not exactly sure who it is.
The NSA?
No. Who else do we love? If we're not blaming Russia, who else do we blame?
North Korea.
Possibly North Korea.
Thank you. Okay.
We can't be certain. Hacking into basically every Olympic organization, including the ski resorts.
Did you hear how he just kind of throws in there, we can't be certain?
Hacking into basically, sure who it is, possibly North Korea.
Possibly.
We can't be certain.
We can't be certain.
Hacking into basically every Olympic organization, including...
we can be certain about Russia.
All right. I don't like how he's just randomly throwing out the term hacker.
He's from Wired, though.
I know, but...
He's from Wired.
I mean, granted, though, I don't know who their target audience is because this is Saturday morning, and maybe they were just trying to find a filler story or something, but... No, I mean, seriously. I mean, he's painting such a dark picture. Like, you're going to get hacked if you step off the plane.
He hasn't even. They did that last time.
I know they did.
The ski resorts, the tourism boards.
See?
We don't know what the intention is, but lots of hackers have already compromised lots of computers.
I know what the intention is. Bitcoin has dropped, and they need all the devices they can get to mine Bitcoin.
I say it's time to switch to Monero, my friend.
Oh, well, there you go. Inside info right there.
These are already the most hacked games ever. Is this correct?
You can't call it that when it hasn't started.
I think it's fair to say that's a little hard to define, but I think we can call it that.
I mean, because we're making this shit up. So, I mean, you know.
Games ever. Is this correct?
This is frustrating.
I think it's fair to say that's a little hard to define, but I think we can call it that.
I feel
Do you
like
love it, dude?
I don't like this guy, and then the only reason why I don't is because I feel like I don't know. It's just a lot of generality. Oh, we think it's the North Koreans. It's going to be the most hacked ever because we're just going to say it. Well, kind of, sure, why not?
I mean, the only thing they do know for sure is that it's the Russians.
See, you know, if he came to the table, all right, literally the table there, the CBSI,
which is a pretty badass
it's a
table.
nice, and actually, if you there's a whole
They take it
documentary
around.
about it. They take it around, which is really nice. Big crates and everything. If he came to the table and he actually had hard evidence, like he actually said, you know, hey, we have like logs and, you know, we've seen some security intrusions and, you know, we're seeing what they're doing. But he's using the word, well, basically, generally, a lot of these common connecting words, it really feels like, all right, where's the give me the info.
Yeah.
And there's nothing
it's fear. That seems to be what the cyber segment's all about.
YouTube viewers in the United States are now seeing a label informing them of state media outlets receiving government funding. RT's Dan Cohen has the story tonight.
Have you seen this?
I've heard of this. I have not seen it in practice.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Well, producer Matt noticed it right away, and he took a screenshot and sent it to me. And so you're watching an RT video, and underneath it says, this video is funded by the Russian government, like with a little information bubble.
Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? I'm okay with this.
Same with me, really.
As long as they're being the same across the board.
Well, you know who hates it is PBS.
If you watch this video on YouTube in the United States, you'll see a label indicating that RT receives government funding. It's part of a new program labeling state-owned media outlets as such.
You know what it really is, though? Is it's Google rolling over and trying to show the federal government that we're really, really, really willing to play ball.
Uh-huh.
That's what this is.
Yeah.
YouTube says the program aims to equip users with additional information to help them better understand the sources of news content that they choose to watch on YouTube. The announcement comes following U.S. government pressure on social media giants to crack down on Russian media outlets for alleged interference in the 2016 presidential election.
Alleged?
This is Google signaling we are 100% ready to play ball. What would you like, sir? Here. Can we just do this? And PBS has said, well, come on now. Don't tell people we're federally funded. Don't tell people that we're funded by the federal government, because then that makes them think that we're only funded by the federal government, while we also have lots of local affiliates and we have fundraisers. We have multiple ways of raising money.
And you know, and that's true. I mean, I could see that point of view for sure. I mean, you know, they're out there. They feel that they're independent. They do receive funding. You know. However, I'm sorry, PBS. I think this is one of those situations where we really should see, you know, well, what do we always say on the show, Chris?
What do we always say on the show?
We need to see a path here, you know, and if there is financial influence from the American government or foreign governments and you're watching that content, I think it's only fair that we have the full and complete picture, because a lot of people don't have those tools to find out.
I completely agree. I kind of wish... In a way, I wish that when CBS had a video, underneath it would say CBS is owned by, and it would like list out like the megacorp that all the. Why not go all the way? Is that too much?
Well,
I mean, it's Google. Don't they have all this? It's Google. Keep in mind, I'm not asking this from I'm not asking this from even Amazon or Yahoo.
Yeah.
I'm saying Google.
They
have that.
Yeah, but then where do you stop? I guess is the ultimate question, right? I mean, how far?
All of them. I would love it even if it said under this video. Actually, I would really appreciate it if it said under this video, it is funded by the audience.
Or even just have a link there that you could click on and you can just dig into.
This video was funded by YouTube ads. This
Right.
video was funded by Patreon.
Thanks to Patreon for the funding for this video.
All of them,
Yeah.
because they're all funded by something, even if it's somebody's pocketbook.
Or even your
This
own.
video is self-funded by the YouTube creator themselves.
Right, exactly. So people can actually see, what it. Honestly, it does take money to put this content on the air. So yeah, it makes sense.
Talk about spending some money. The Russia investigation's probably spent some serious money. I'd like to see some totals on that. There's not a lot of new that's happened from last week's episode in the Russia investigation, other than this Trump is on again, off again about getting investigated.
Are you going to talk to Mueller?
You've probably heard this audio. This is Trump being asked on January 24th if he would be willing to talk to Mueller.
I'm looking forward to it, actually.
Do you have a date set?
Just like I said, there's been no collusion whatsoever.
No.
There's no obstruction whatsoever. And I'm looking forward to it.
That was President Trump 2 weeks ago, seeming optimistic about a potential sit-down interview with special counsel Robert Mueller's team as part of its Russia investigation.
I gotta say, that would be the worst thing to ever happen to Donald Trump in his presidency if he does that.
Now
they'll walk him into something.
Well, so here's I don't know if you'll have clips on this or not. I've been actually reading about this, and he's still like today, like not today, but like to this day point so far, he wants to testify.
Yep.
His attorney's team is saying no.
That's because I believe Donald Trump the man believes whatever Donald Trump the man believes, and he
Right.
believes there was no collusion because that's what he believes, and so there's no collusion. So he's like, I'll talk to him.
And it's a very weird answer.
And the
to
lawyers
me.
are like, my God, you'll say something that contradicts something, and they'll get you on a technical. Oh my God, don't do it.
And he already has. I mean, he's contradicted himself a lot.
Since then, Fox News has reported that President Trump's...
Did you like that slip there? Did you catch that
I
slip
missed
there?
it. Say it again.
I mean, it just kind of sounded like that Fox News was the direct mouthpiece of Donald Trump.
interview with special counsel Robert Mueller's team as part of its Russia investigation.
Now listen carefully, because it kind of sounds like she knows that they take talking points directly from Donald Trump. I mean, if I were to just project a little bit into this, that's what I would take in. It could just be an innocent slip, though, but just listen and decide for yourself.
Since then, Fox News has reported that President Trump's lawyers were leaning against the idea. They worry the president could get caught in a so-called perjury trap. And now a new report, they have advised the president to reject a possible request for a sit-down with the special counsel.
You know what? This is Fox spinning it a little bit, saying, that they're going to try to trap him by calling it a perjury
I think
trap.
they 100% are going to.
Well, I know, but
I don't think that's spin. I think that's what the plan is.
Well, I know, but trapping him, like, it's weird.
Trapping him with his own words.
Right. Not like, trying to, like, I don't know. It's
Not-
weird. You know what I mean?
Yes,
trying
I
to say,
do. It's not like they're not doing some sort of trickery
to be
where
malicious. They
it's not like entrapment.
Right. Yeah. That's what I'm trying to say.
They're going to just get him to just dig his own grave.
Just let him talk.
Yeah, exactly.
Just turn on the recorder.
100%.
Yeah, exactly.
The guy has two grand juries, and he can just say, hey, this is conflicting information, and boom.
If denied an interview, Mueller could subpoena the president to testify before a grand jury, prolonging the probe. So, Judge, the last time we were on the show together, you had mentioned that Michael Flynn, you believe he got caught in a perjury trap.
Yes.
Do you think that President Trump is subject to the same fate?
Yes, I do. I think even more so. The president who, being diplomatic, does not always use an economy of words and has strong opinions on so many things.
What's that hashtag?
Where is it? Oh,
so for our audio only,
it's hashtag one cucky guy.
One lucky guy.
Oh, one lucky. I thought that said one cucky. I'm sorry.
What? Why? Why is that there? Anybody? As we record this live, please let me know.
Do you remember why that's there?
I don't.
I don't either.
Hashtag one lucky guy. That's the judge? One lucky guy?
No. I don't think so.
What? I'm sorry. I'm just a little perplexed.
Hashtag one cucky guy.
All right, continue, Judge.
Being diplomatic does not always use an economy of words and has strong opinions on so many things.
Does not use an economy of words. That is the most diplomatic way to say that Trump just says whatever the hell he wants.
Is likely to get in a Q&A with his interrogators, who might be Bob Mueller or might be FBI agents, which will get him in trouble. So, look, they could limit the scope of this conversation just to one topic. But if the president's answer veers off that topic, then the questioner can ask about the answer.
You know what's weird about this conversation? I would
You know the president's watching.
Exactly.
I knew you were going there.
I would
Yeah.
suggest watch this with in the mindset that the hosts,
let's say
the hosts are aware that Trump is watching.
All right, listener at home, play along with us. Let's say, for example, that you are the president of the United States and you watch the show every morning.
He is literally
He's talking to the president.
He is
right
attempting to advise the president
right now.
Could limit the scope of this conversation just to one topic. But if the president's answer veers off that topic, then the questioner can ask about the answer.
He is trying to tell Trump, stay on target. Stay on target.
Don't go off topic.
And the president is not always disciplined when it comes to answering. So,
and then she laughs. Like, yeah, that's putting it lightly.
About the answer. And the president is not always disciplined when it comes to answering. So the standard advice is you don't talk to a guy who owns a grand jury. And
the reason why the other gals, I believe, didn't laugh is because they frickin' know that Trump is watching them right now.
Standard advice is you don't talk to a guy who owns a grand jury, and Bob Mueller has too, meaning he can take what you said that contradicted other things, present it to the grand jury, and get you indicted for lying to the FBI, which is what happened to Papadopoulos and Flynn.
So what options then does Mueller have on the table to utilize? Let's say President Trump says, I'm not going to sit down with you to the advice of counsel. Then what does Mueller do?
Okay, so now it flips. Bob Mueller wants to interrogate the president because he wants to know what his thinking is. He also doesn't want to put the president before a grand jury without knowing what the president's going to say. So if the president doesn't agree to the initial interview, question, will Bob Mueller subpoena him before a grand jury, having no idea what the president will tell the grand jury? That's a dangerous environment for Mueller.
Not really.
I
don't think it is. I think it's pretty obvious what Trump would say.
Yeah.
But so that's sort of the interesting development right now in the whole, like, actual Russia, the one that matters, the investigation that matters. That's the interesting thing that's happening right now in the Russia investigation.
By the way, we got an answer thanks to 10105 in the chat room.
Oh, really?
So the name of the show that we just saw a clip from is Outnumbered.
Yes.
And the premise of the show is one guy outnumbered by the 4 women.
Yes.
One lucky guy. Hashtag.
Oh, I guess I would have known that if I'd thought about it.
We're technically minded political
God,
junkies.
I hate the media.
If he were to release that memo, he would not only be endangering our country, but he would also be violating the rules of the Congress of the United States.
So here we are, 3rd week into talking about this stupid freaking memo, which, by the way,
is a nothing burger.
Hold on. Yeah, hold on. What do I have right here?
Chris, you have printed out
physically
1, 2,
yeah,
3. Actually, you've spread it out more than it's technically 4 pages.
Yeah, I have printed out the memo. It is here in the studio.
Yep.
Written
and by Mr. the Honorable. Oh God.
He would also be violating the rules of the Congress of the United States.
The release of this memo is really reminiscent of the darkest days of the McCarthy era.
There is zero proof or even evidence that there is political bias in the FBI. But if you say it long enough and often enough, there will be people who have doubts about it. And it's a profoundly unpatriotic thing to do.
You're not patriotic if you want your questions answered. Democrats are lashing out. That's not even strong enough. Something profound is happening here. But they're very upset by the release of the FBI memo. Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi said President Trump, quote, just sent his friend Putin a bouquet. Many have.
How good is that, dude? Send him a bouquet. I love that. That's good.
President Trump, quote, just sent his friend Putin a bouquet. Many have said similar intemperate things, including Democratic Congressman Eric Swalwell of California, who joins us tonight. So, Congressman...
So if you were to say there is one Democrat that Chris really, 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 really hasn't liked since before it was cool not to like him...
Your good friend?
Who would it be?
Adam Schiff.
Thank you, right?
Yeah.
I haven't liked Adam Schiff since before it was cool not to like, right? Admittedly.
You don't like Woody. And, he's a good friend of yours.
For a long time.
You guys exchange gifts every Christmas.
Yeah, but we just don't agree professionally. Now, if Woody were to have a backup guy, who would that be? Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah.
This is Woody's Buzz Lightyear.
Oh, this is Buzz Lightyear.
This is Buzz Lightyear right here.
Many Democrats, including Democratic leaders, Pelosi and Schiff to name two, said before this was released that its release would jeopardize American national security. That turned out to be a lie, provably, because there's nothing in this that was classified. In fact, it's no obvious reason it was classified in the first place.
We will get to the contents of the memo in a moment.
So why would they tell us that when they knew it wasn't true?
Good evening, Tucker. You should be concerned about this, too. It does reveal sources. You should read the memo. Just because you knew the sources beforehand because they were reported on doesn't mean we acknowledge them in ongoing investigations.
So please be precise about how. Please be precise about how it jeopardizes our national security, because a lot of us are concerned about doing that, and I would never want to play any role in doing that. And that's why it's such a serious charge. And that's why when you make it, you have to back it up.
You're playing a role in doing that right now.
Well, tell me how.
You're playing a role. Because we don't acknowledge sources in ongoing investigations.
What source are you talking about, and how does that imperil our country?
Well, the memo goes into Papadopoulos and Page and others that you only knew about because they were reported on, not because they were
I knew about because Papadopoulos was indicted, and the memo came out today. So just explain to me how you just accused me of endangering American national security, and I think it's fair to ask you to be very precise in explaining how I'm doing that. So please do.
The larger danger that you're doing and
not the
others
larger
are doing
danger.
is
You just
the rule
accused
of
me.
law, Tucker.
Slow down.
You're
You just
using
accused
the police
I'm not
to go
going to let you go
after
on
your
this.
political
I'm
enemies.
not going to let you go.
Yeah.
You just
I already went on
you got two choices. You can either apologize and take it back, or you can explain it. I think it's fair to ask you to explain what you meant when you said I was. How does that jeopardize our country's security?
Because we don't reveal the sources in ongoing investigations. Tucker, right now in every police station in America, the police... Tucker, let me finish. Let me finish, Tucker. In every police station in America, the police are interviewing a suspect, and you're suggesting that we should give the suspect the evidence before we ask them the questions.
Who's the
this
suspect?
is about the rule of law. We're trampling over the rule of law.
Okay. All right. Okay, so you kind of get where I'm going with this. So that's Adam Schiff's secondhand man.
And by the way, the secondhand man, I'm with Tucker on this one. I can't believe I'm saying this because I'm not a huge Tucker fan.
Yeah.
But I agree with Tucker here.
Where's your bow tie, buddy?
Well, I know. I left it at home. But the congressman there shouldn't have used the line, endangering national security. It's one of those things where I could see his point of view saying, releasing sources of people under investigation, blah, blah, blah. I get that. But it
becomes even more ironic when we get to the Democratic memo because they're, we'll get there.
We'll get there.
Okay. Yeah. I agree with you.
But I will say, though, that the way, and we talked about it last week, the way that this was being pushed and the way
the hype cycle.
The hype cycle.
Hype.
The ultimate people who got played on this in general is the media. I mean, they got played like a fiddle on this because at the end of the day,
it's a nothing burger.
There's nothing much there.
Well, okay, so let's talk about the contents of the memo.
Is
it a nothing burger? Is there nothing there? I want to ask you, see if you notice what jumps out at you about this next clip.
All right.
Well, Friday, the White House released a controversial...
Oh, it's Ben.
Ben Swann. Ben Swann.
Oh, Ben.
Ben Swann, who got fired.
He got fired from his daily TV job.
A year ago because he talked about Seth Rich.
Yep. And then, had
and
the Pizzagate.
Yeah. Yep.
So one of the reasons why Mr. Ben Swann here got fired from his CBS 46 station is basically doing what he's doing right now, trying to do his own thing outside of the realm of his news job.
So I will talk about in the overtime, I have a clip about who is funding Ben Swann now.
Ooh, all right.
It's a little awkward.
All right.
That'll be in the overtime.
All right.
But he has a pretty good runtime.
That's a tease.
It is.
That's a huge tease.
Right?
Yes.
But he has a pretty good rundown of what's in the quote-unquote memo, which we have printed out.
Right there.
Right here.
Right here.
Well, Friday, the White House released a controversial memo. It was meant to provide some context to the whole Trump-Russia investigation. The Nunes memo is 4 pages long, and it explains many of what seem to be very questionable actions by the Department of Justice and the FBI in how they got their hands on FISA warrants on Trump campaign officials. But here's the thing, more than just this case. This memo backs up what civil libertarians have been screaming about for years, and it begs this question. Can the FISA court system actually be trusted? Let's give it a reality check you won't get anywhere else.
Oh!
Break it down.
Reality check. Powered by Dash.
Oh!
Wait. Whoa!
Yep.
Dash?
Dash. Yeah, we'll get into that.
ISIS?
No, you're thinking of Daesh.
Oh, Daesh.
Yeah, no, it's not Daesh.
Oh.
No, we'll get into what Dash is and what a DOA is or DAO. Anyways, that's in the overtime. But in the meantime...
Oh! Well, first let's start with the Nunes memo. It was long anticipated. So what did it show? Well, the memo focuses in part on the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, warrants that authorize the surveillance of former Trump campaign policy advisor Carter Page. Now, first, the memo claims that on October 21st, 2016, the DOJ and the FBI actually sought and received probable cause orders authorizing electronic surveillance on Page. According to the memo, the FBI and the DOJ obtained 3 FISA warrants and then 3 FISA renewals, all targeting Page. Now, where things start to get really interesting is when you bring in that infamous Trump dossier, which was created by former British spy Christopher Steele on behalf of the DNC and the Clinton campaign. The memo states that neither the initial application for the warrant in October of 2016 or any of the renewals reference the roles of the Democratic National Committee or Hillary Clinton's campaign in funding Steele's efforts.
I want to stop there. So what the accusation that he is highlighting is that when the documents were submitted to the FISA court, they disclosed the Steele connection, but they didn't disclose the fact that Steele was being financed by the Clinton campaign and the DNC to the FISA judge.
Now, despite the fact that we know that Steele was paid $160,000, and even though the memo states that both the DOJ and the FBI were aware of the Democratic Party funding that dossier. In fact,
what he's saying there is the Department of Justice itself was aware of the funding source for Steele.
In fact, the memo claims this, that in the Carter Page FISA application, a Yahoo News article was cited extensively, but the memo states that the article did not corroborate the Steele dossier because it was derived from information leaked by Steele himself to Yahoo News. In fact,
this is something we have seen a lot. The government officials, maybe it's the FBI or it's some panel, they will say, well, here is the media covering this news event, so therefore it must be official. But in this case, this Yahoo News story was actually supplied by leaks from Christopher Steele directly. And then it was sort of this is where the term circular reporting comes from. Then when the FBI went to go point to the legitimacy of the dossier, they used this Yahoo News article as a alternative backup source to say, this must be legitimate because here is a mainstream news article talking about the information. But that news article was supplied with information by Christopher Steele directly. So it's the FBI saying the dossier must be legit when the author of the dossier was also the same person who supplied Yahoo News with the quote-unquote leak.
Because it was derived from information leaked by Steele himself to Yahoo News. In fact, the memo says that the FISA application incorrectly assesses that Steele did not directly provide information to Yahoo News. Steele has admitted in British court filings that he met with Yahoo News and several other outlets in September 2016 at the direction of Fusion GPS.
Uh-oh.
Now, the memo also claims that before and after Steele was terminated as a source, which, by the way, according to the memo, was because of unauthorized disclosures to the media.
Pausing here, so what he means by a source is a source to the FBI. So he was a paid contractor, Christopher Steele was a paid contractor to the FBI. Now, there will be some questions if he was also employed by MI6, is it? MI8? What is James Bond's spy agency?
Oh, MI6, I thought. Yeah.
Yeah, if he was employed by both agencies at the same time, that's a no-no. Either way, that's a side note. He was an official source, quote-unquote, for the FBI, and they fired him after it became, frankly, obvious. It became just obvious that he was leaking directly to the media, Christopher Steele. And when the FBI realized that he was leaking directly to the media, they fired him as an FBI source.
Which, by the way, according to the memo, was because of unauthorized disclosures to the media of his relationship with the FBI, was still actually kept in touch with the DOJ through then Associate Deputy Attorney General Bruce Orr. Now, Orr, who worked closely with Yates and Rosenstein, eventually spoke with the FBI about his communications with Steele. In September 2016, Steele apparently told Orr that he was, quote, desperate that Donald Trump not get elected and was passionate about him not being president, end quote. The memo also knows that Orr's wife worked for, guess who? Fusion GPS, to help with opposition research against Trump, something the memo claims was, once again, not disclosed. The memo also claims that former FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe testified before the House Intelligence Committee in December of 2017 that no surveillance warrant would have been sought without the Steele dossier information.
Now I want to make sure we stop here for a second. I want to come back to this because the claim here is that no FISA warrant would have been sought without the Steele dossier. Let's remember that for a moment. I want to talk about that further.
That no surveillance warrant would have been sought without the Steele dossier information. There is, by the way, though, no direct quote from McCabe's behind closed doors testimony. Now, for her part, Democratic House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi told CNN that this memo is all a lie.
Now, I kind of feel like the memo isn't necessarily a lie. It's just sort of a certain framing. It's more of like a narrative summarization of what's been going on. But
from a perspective of Republicans.
Yeah, well,
I mean, it is. I mean, we should call it as that is because
it is from because it's from the majority. It's from Nunes.
Well, yeah, it was voted on by the.
But I don't consider myself like a Republican or a Democrat. But it seems to be. I mean, we've talked about the Steele dossier. We've talked about Fusion GPS.
Yeah.
We've talked about all of this for
correct
for a year now.
I mean, I'm not denying that.
Yeah.
But the thing though is.
It's their perspective.
It was their perspective on it, and then now obviously you have the Democratic perspective coming
up.
We'll see.
Yeah.
And so and when I read through this memo, I mean, you look at some of the notations. There's some evidence that's just not there. I want to see it. I want to see the proof. I mean, not just your opinion of and I'm speaking, to the committee. I don't want to just see your opinion on this.
Yeah.
Where are you gathering these conclusions from? Where's the meat? You're giving me
the
potatoes.
Source docs.
Yeah, you're giving me potatoes. You're giving me some little vegetables. I want my steak.
And that gravy must have been made from a meat base. Right?
Or some sort of soy product or something.
Here now, Fox News senior judicial analyst, Judge Andrew Napolitano. Judge, good to see you tonight.
Hey, where to start?
Just to sort of go back, because we've got a web of this up on the wall, which we're going to show everybody in a moment.
Right.
But to go back to what Ed was reporting there, it's outlined that a foreign source gave the information to in this dossier, second dossier, to an unnamed associate of Hillary and Bill Clinton. And this is all during the campaign,
right,
who then gives it to someone in the Obama State Department.
My speculation, and make this a Red Book prediction, if you will.
All right.
I tend to be right on these particular things, but
Matt his ears just perked up.
My Red Book prediction is that the person that they're not quite sure who the source is will be Sidney Blumenthal. So she kind of dances around. Somebody, an unnamed person, tells these people. I think my Red Book prediction is it will at some point be revealed that it was Sidney Blumenthal.
And this is all during the campaign,
right,
who then gives it to someone in the Obama State Department.
Right.
So give this to just leak this information over to them, who then gave the information to Steele. So it keeps going around and around and around, and you're looking for the foundation of where the meat is underneath it.
So what she's struggling to explain to you, because she doesn't understand it all, but she's trying to read notes, is that somebody from the Clinton campaign supplied somebody connected to Steele information, who then supplied it to the State Department, which was then went in part of this memo and part of the dossier.
Same time this was happening, the FBI was conducting a fraudulent and deceptive investigation of Mrs. Clinton's improper handling of emails, arguably espionage, the failure to safeguard state secrets. So the Clintons were using enormous arms of the government, State Department, Justice Department, FBI, to assure that she not be prosecuted and to attempt to assure that Donald Trump not become president. But Steele, Chris Steele, the now former MI6, that's the British version of the CIA agent.
James Bond.
Presents a very interesting problem here. This is the issue. This is the wording in the memo that came out last week, the Republican memo, that the FBI and the DOJ fought aggressively against. And it's the following reference to Chris Steele as, quote, a longtime FBI asset.
Uh-oh.
And most people would say, all right, the FBI has all kinds of assets. Well, he is a former British intelligence agent. We have an agreement with the British government, Canadian, New Zealand, Australian. We will exchange information. We will not cherry pick each other's agents. He apparently was cherry-picked by the FBI. If this happened while he was an MI6 agent, he could be prosecuted for espionage by the British government for being a British spy at the same time he was an American spy.
So that phrase in the memo that he was a longtime FBI asset, we know he was doing work for them. They were interested in his work. There's still, I think, some discrepancy over whether or not they were paying him, but they also say that they released him.
Oh, they were paying him.
At some point.
Yes.
So they had some kind of relationship, whether it was monetary or not.
I think they had a monetary relationship, and at some point they decided either it wasn't credible or we can't trust you because you have become a leaker.
This is one of those situations where I think the people that run the nation laugh at us. Christopher Steele was an MI6 agent, and that bought him a certain level of credibility, which meant that after he was done at the MI6, he could sell his credibility. He could sell the brand of Christopher Steele to other interested parties, like the FBI. And to people who are in the leadership level of our society, that's so obvious to them that that's how it works that they laugh at the pathetic nature, the naive nature of us as we struggle to understand how this all operates. They laugh at us. They laugh at us because that's what these people do. They go into this line of work and they spend 30 years doing it. So that way at the end of it, they can be like all of the former NSA leaders, look at the past two NSA directors. They now run major million-dollar cyber companies that are defending America's corporate networks against cyber attacks. They've spun those government jobs into these multi-million-dollar cyber contract businesses. At a certain level, you get into these intelligence agencies to make money after you get out. The pension that you get, that's like nothing. That's nothing compared to the brand that you can create depending on how you play your cards.
Or not.
I think they had a monetary relationship, and at some point they decided either it wasn't credible or we can't trust you because you have become a leaker. And leaking classified material is a line that cannot be crossed, Mr. Steele, so you're no longer with us now.
That's why the FBI discontinued their financial relationship with Christopher Steele at that moment. However, he had to leak to the media so that way he could give credence to the dossier itself, because the dossier takes its credence from the sightings in official news reports. That's the fundamental credibility that the dossier has, is that some of the elements in the dossier are confirmed by media reports, which were supplied by Christopher Steele.
Because you have become a leaker, and leaking classified material is a line that cannot be crossed, Mr. Steele, so you're no longer with us now.
So they fired him.
He left MI6 in 2009. This is very serious stuff. If before he left MI6, he was an FBI asset, the Justice Department and the FBI, which is not run today by the same people that were running it then. We're talking about Eric Holder and Jim Comey, has an enormous problem on its hand. That would explain.
2009 is a long time ago.
Correct.
We're talking about the 2016 campaign. But
Correct.
Can you prove that there was an overlap in his MI6 time and in his FBI asset time?
We don't know.
But you know they were upset about that line in the memo.
Yes, and I know that Congressman Nunes intentionally used the ambiguous phrase long time. Does it go back to 2009 or before, or did it happen afterwards? I also know that
we need to know.
That explains the ferocity with which the FBI tried to prevent this from coming out.
Thank you, Judge. We'll stay on it with your help. Good to see you.
I think that's particularly interesting when you hear about this memo.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. There's like, if you've been listening to this show, there's almost nothing. Really, this memo, in a lot of ways, it is a frickin' nothing burger. It's just what it is all the stuff that this show has speculated, written down as an official memorandum from the majority party.
And that's what I wonder if Devin Nunes was listening to our show, compiled all the bullet points, and put it in a piece of paper.
Perhaps. Although the one thing that I think is really worth consideration is, could they have gotten...
Doesn't, and I'll...
Oops, sorry, I was smacking my keyboard with the...
Trey is almost activated. Be careful.
I know. I was literally smacking my keyboard with the memo. Could they have gotten the FISA warrant without the dossier? Because if they couldn't have gotten the FISA warrant without the dossier, then we really do have a problem on our hands.
Then we have some meat.
Hired by the DNC and the Clinton campaign, and the fact that he was biased against President Trump. That is all information that the finder of fact is entitled to.
Now, we should dig into this because you are, from my understanding, the only Republican investigator on the House Intelligence Committee who actually viewed the FISA applications, everything that went into essentially putting together this memo. So when you're talking about this Steele memo, you are not saying that it was the sole piece of evidence used to justify these 4 authorizations of the surveillance warrant, are you?
No. It was not the exclusive information relied upon by the FISA court.
Would it?
Whoa! Wow! Go figure.
All right, so
there you go.
That, I think you have to keep that completely in perspective.
Yes.
Of everything we're talking about. It was not. I'm going to play it again.
The
authorizations of the surveillance warrant, are you?
No. It was not the exclusive information relied upon by the FISA court.
Would it have been authorized were it not for that dossier?
No, it would not have been.
Now that is something else.
Yeah,
it was not the exclusive information relied upon by the FISA court.
Would it have been authorized were it not for that dossier?
No, it would not have been.
I gotta believe him.
How can you say that? Because it was authorized 4 times by separate judges.
Good question. That's legitimately
nice follow-up.
Right, and the information was in there all 4 times.
Yeah, okay, that would make sense.
And the judge doesn't do independent research.
Yeah, that also makes sense.
There are 3 Republicans that have seen every bit of information. 3 of us. Bob Goodlatte, the chairman of Judiciary, Johnny Ratcliffe, who was a former terrorism prosecutor and U.S. attorney in Texas.
It's funny you say that. I didn't even know about Johnny until this whole thing was going down. So for like the last month, I've been following him. This guy, I think, has long-term ambitions. I have a sense that we'll be hearing more about Ratcliffe.
And me. All 3 of us have total confidence in the FBI and DOJ to be able to do the jobs that they have been assigned. We have confidence in Bob Mueller, and we have serious concerns about this process. So we have all 3 of those things in common, including being concerned about what happened in 2016.
Should all the information in the FISA applications be publicly disclosed, declassified, so that people can make their own judgment and see what you've seen?
I think I'm going to defer a little bit to the Bureau and DOJ on it's a long application. If there are sources and methods that are not already known that they think would jeopardize national security, I would defer to their judgment. The source that we revealed, Chris Steele, was about the least well-kept secret in America. So generally, I err on the side of transparency and disclosure. On the other hand, there's a reason that this process is usually confidential, and I don't want to set the precedent of all FISA applications being publicly seen.
Well, that's a concern in doing this memo.
Yeah, that's actually been interesting. Now, the New York Times is using...
Yes. And you know what? I think that's brilliant. When I saw...
Hey, it's no longer a secret.
Yeah, if the president signs off on this, let's go.
So
give me the info.
So there's a couple of things he said in there that I thought we should talk about here for a second.
Yeah.
So he said that they probably wouldn't have gotten the FISA authorization without do you remember what he said? Because I think it's pretty important.
Well, without the dossier.
The DNC and
I want to just play the beginning because I want to make sure we talk about this.
And the Clinton campaign and the fact that he was biased against President Trump. That is all information that the finder of fact is entitled to.
So he's talking about Steele there.
Now, we should dig into this because you are, from my understanding, the only Republican investigator on the House Intelligence Committee who actually viewed the FISA applications, everything that went into essentially putting together this memo. So when you're talking about this Steele memo, you are not saying that it was the sole piece of evidence used to justify these 4 authorizations of the surveillance warrant, are you?
No.
Okay. Let's talk about that for a second. So it is not the sole justification. So those of you who are saying this dossier is the thing that started this whole witch hunt, it is not just this dossier. There is other there are other bits of information, intelligence, sources of whatever that the FBI or whoever was monitoring besides the memo. It's not if you remove the memo, like if you had a DeLorean and you went back in time and you killed Christopher Steele, you may not have stopped this.
Justify these 4 authorizations of the surveillance warrant. Are you?
No. It was not the exclusive information relied upon by the FISA court.
Would it have been authorized were it not for that dossier?
No, it would not have been.
What do you make of that? That's it's not the only bit of information, but it sounds like it was the bit of information that put it over the top.
So I think the interviewer missed a golden opportunity there for a very key follow-up question, and that is, well, how? No, seriously. Because,
really.
Because the judge, I mean, we already heard. She said, 4 judges, signed off on it, continuing, right? So that would be a great follow-up. I'm like, well, how do you know that? Like, is that your opinion, or is that based upon talking to a judge? I mean, how do you know that for sure?
Yeah.
And I would just want to know that answer, because if he gave the answer, well, according to the court, they would not have approved it without the dossier. Okay. You got me. I'm in. But for him just saying yeah and then just kind of moving on,
I hate that.
I hate that too, because it's like it doesn't give me a full picture.
I was pretty integrally involved in the drafting of it.
So Gowdy, being one of the few people that actually saw the underlying intelligence, was pretty much one of the sole sources for drafting this memo. This quote-unquote Nunes memo is it's probably really a Trey Gowdy memo.
And I was pretty integrally involved in the drafting of it. There is a Russia investigation without a dossier.
Boom.
So to the extent the memo deals with the dossier and the FISA process, the dossier has nothing to do with the meeting at Trump Tower.
All right, this is a very, I've heard this part of the interview. This is very important because remember, when the memo was released, the president was already over Twitter saying, you know what? There you go. This thing needs to be dropped right
Vindicated.
now. I'm vindicated. And then he had so many people come to his defense. And I am full agreement here with Trey is, what about the meeting? What about all these other things? It doesn't negate that.
The dossier and the FISA process, the dossier has nothing to do with the meeting at Trump Tower. The dossier has nothing to do with an email sent by Cambridge Analytica. The dossier really has nothing to do with George Papadopoulos' meeting in Great Britain. It also doesn't have anything to do with obstruction of justice. So there's going to be a Russia probe even without a dossier.
Yep, absolutely.
And so that's why this memo coming out doesn't really change the trajectory of Mueller's investigation, because dossier or not, they have enough for an investigation.
Yeah, they have enough.
Now, why don't we, along the same lines...
Some further revelations have emerged on the so-called Trump dossier, which describes alleged links between Donald Trump's campaign team and Russia. These relate to the author of the document, former MI5 agent Christopher Steele, and from where he obtained his information.
Oh. Now, that does kind of matter.
Samira Khan reports from Washington.
Mr. Steele's memorandum states that the report was information that came from a foreign subsource who is in touch with a friend of the Clintons. It is troubling enough that the Clinton campaign funded Mr. Steele's work, but that these Clinton associates were contemporaneously feeding Mr. Steele allegations raises additional concerns about his credibility.
Well, according to a newly released document, Clinton associates were feeding information to Christopher Steele while he was compiling the Trump-Russia dossier.
Okay, that kind of, if the Clinton campaign, some people that are closely associated with Hillary were supplying Christopher Steele with information, well, that's awkward.
And what is the document exactly? Well, it's a heavily redacted version of the criminal referral against Steele that was filed by Republican Senators Chuck Grassley and Lindsey Graham. Interestingly enough, it exposes coordination between the Clinton campaign and the Obama administration with the intention of damaging Trump. And in the document, it says it appears that either Steele lied or the classified documents contain materially false documents. But going back to Friday's memo, it states that Steele's dossier is full of unverified unverified claims about Trump's supposed links to Russia. But most importantly, the memo asserts that the FBI didn't reveal the origins of the document. And of course, both the FBI and the Democratic Party have claimed that the memo is incomplete and misleading. However, some legal experts have also said that the FBI was actually under no obligation to reveal the memo's origin. So let's quickly go back to how this all started. Steele was hired back in 2016 to find links between Trump and Russia, but according to reports, his dossier was based on unverified allegations provided to him by the Clinton campaign.
So he's hired by the DNC and the Clinton campaign to look up information about Trump, but the information that he's given is by the same people that are hiring him.
Who was funding Steele along with the DNC. And then the Obama administration used that dossier to secure a warrant to spy on the Trump campaign. Now, it's been revealed that the Clinton campaign was not only funding Steele, but providing him with information. Well, the House Intelligence Committee has voted unanimously to release the memo, so we're just going to have to see how this all plays out.
Yeah, we will. I mean, so Sidney Blumenthal, who you may remember that name a little bit, like if that seems kind of familiar to you. Yeah, that's because he was the guy that was emailing Hillary about Benghazi and about Libya and about Gaddafi. And when Hillary was in that interview where she laughs about the death of Gaddafi, she was reading an email by Sidney Blumenthal. So he's like one of these guys that is one of just supplying information to Christopher Steele.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see where that goes. It may go nowhere. You know, Chase, it may go nowhere. It may not.
Yeah, that's true.
You never know. You never know.
Good morning. We're taking a look at this, and it is raising a lot of questions, and it's shocking. Let's go right to it.
Now, do you have any idea? Like that seems like that could describe a billion different things.
I saw the lower third flash up.
Okay. You did.
You've seen a look at this.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, and you now know that this is also a big nothing burger too.
Are you ready? Okay. Hold on. Let me see here. Let's see. Let's go. Hold on.
We need a nothing burger sound.
This is CNN breaking news.
Fox News, big alert. Some new text messages have been revealed. It's unbelievable. We're going to go to our correspondent
it's sort
now.
of like actually this is an interesting it's which movie are you watching? Are you watching movie A or movie B? And if you're watching movie A, this is the Obama administration conspiring for Hillary and her investigation against her emails.
Hillary needs to be impeached now.
Yeah, impeach Hillary. And if you're watching movie B, these are text messages about the Russia investigation. And and of course Fox News is watching their particular movie, so they run with that narrative.
Good morning. We're taking a look at this, and it is raising a lot of questions, and it's shocking. Let's go right to it. This one on
I hate these people. You know what? Let's go right.
You got to realize they're playing to their audience, man.
I know.
I mean, and that's what it is.
But they're like 20 seconds into this, and they're like, let's go right to it. You've wasted. Okay, anyways.
Well,
September.
It reminds me of like the running gag of, here it is. It's the biggest story of the day. You're waiting for it.
Right after this.
Here it comes. This is big. It's so big. We cannot wait to tell you about it. It is huge. You won't believe it. It is amazing. It blows my mind. Stay right there because we have the memo.
We'll
it's
be
coming
right
back after these messages.
That's what it is, dude.
That's what it is.
A lot of questions, and it's shocking. Let's go right to it. This one on September 2nd, 2016. Page Right struck about preparing talking points for FBI Director James Comey, saying POTUS wants to know everything we're doing.
That would have been Obama at the time.
Now, by POTUS, they're referring to Barack Obama. Investigators telling Fox News this now raises questions about President Obama's personal involvement in the Clinton email investigation.
It doesn't seem to have anything to do with the Clinton email investigation.
That's just, he wants to know what we're doing.
It just seems like it would be about like the Trump. I mean, like it could have been about. In fact, if anything, it could have been about Manafort.
We don't even know.
Like it's the Clinton investigation was wrapped up by then. It was done.
Yeah, look at the date. Look at the date.
So who knows? But I'll keep watching, see where that goes.
But it's amazing this morning how many outlets, the right-leaning outlets, just ran full speed on that, and that's And that's the part that really like starts to bug me as just a general everyday kind of guy, where we can't even come together and have a mutual respectful discussion anymore because it's so spun on both sides that it's like it's maddening and it's stressful because it's like all we want, everybody listening, you and I, all we want is we want the truth. Just the straight truth. We want to know what's going on. Because no matter if you're a big fan of Trump or you hate Trump, don't you want to know the truth? Like unbiased?
Even when Obama was president.
I know.
Same
Obama, Clinton, I'm talking
Absolutely.
Bill. I just stop the spin because it hurts us all.
Now that O'Reilly's off the air, somebody's got to.
There's no spin zone. We need that again.
Right.
I know, man. Just
So what do you
makes
think
you
about
dizzy.
this whole shutdown thing? So as we record this show, there is like a probably 0.5% chance that there's going to be a shutdown.
Yeah, well, here I have two feelings about it. So as we record this show, the Senate passed a bipartisan bill to fund the government for 2 years, basically, which
hasn't gone through the House yet.
Which hasn't gone through the House yet. It will. Who knows? The White House has already said that they like it and they want it to pass.
The market does not like it.
The market does not like it, and I can tell you why they don't like it. It's pretty blatant.
It's have your cake and eat it too.
Well, not only that, but look how much money is being pumped into this budget. $300 billion. $300 billion. And the part that has always worried me, and if you're a fan of No Agenda and you've listened to John C. Dvorak talking about financial crashes and things of that nature.
The cycles thing?
The cycles thing. This is dangerous territory because we can't afford it. And I'm a guy that, we just gave a huge tax cut to corporations and, they try to get their money and try to build stuff back
And now
here.
we're increasing spending.
And now we're increasing spending. And so what does that mean? What does that do?
It means buy an RV.
Yeah. And it gets scary. That's the part that a lot of people I don't think are really thinking about this. We don't have the money.
If we don't change it, let's have a shutdown. We'll do a shutdown, and it's worth it for our country.
No, it's not.
I'd love to see a shutdown if we don't get this stuff taken care of.
President Trump calling for another shutdown if Democrats don't agree to his immigration demands, despite the fact that at the same time, Senate negotiators were touting bipartisan progress on a budget deal.
I'm optimistic that very soon we'll be able to reach an agreement.
We are closer to an agreement than we have ever been.
So they're not that far away.
No.
It looks like it's going to happen.
Yeah, but it doesn't solve the immigration issue, which is a very polarizing
They're punting
topic.
that for a bit.
They're
for
punting
now.
that for a bit with a self-imposed deadline made by the president. Remember, the decision...
Yeah, but do you remember... I know this is going way back.
Yeah.
But Obama engineered the shutdown under his term, too.
True, yeah. Very true. And that didn't help. That wasn't helpful either.
No.
And,
no, it wasn't.
I mean, the thing is, it just hurts because we all know at the end of the day, eventually a budget gets signed. We all know.
And they're looking like, so it looks like there's something they're all going to agree upon. And, of course, one of the things that's just key to it is spending way more money on the military. Just got to increase spending to the military.
Yeah, but this is something where a president, and I know President Trump is your not typical president that we've ever had in our life. That being said, I think this is where you have a leader that says, you know what, this is not about partisanship. This is about the better of the country, and we need to have a solid budget that is conservative on spending, that we don't borrow too much, but we take care of our troops and we take care of the things that we need to take care of. But to say just shut it down, it's not helpful for any of us.
I mean, I feel like you're saying that with if you go back to Chase of 2016, I think Chase of 2016 would be saying this is Trump playing the negotiator. He's playing hardball. He's saying shut it down.
The Senate budget negotiations do
now,
not include.
I would say that if he comes around maybe a few days later and he goes, all right, you know what? I've gotten both sides together. You know what? We don't want to shut down. It's like,
okay.
You know what? I've seen him play that game.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I kind of feel like it's him negotiating, but all right, let's finish it.
An immigration overhaul, a longtime Republican goal. The Senate's 2-year plan includes a boost in defense spending alongside additional domestic spending the Democrats have been calling for. Press Secretary Sarah Sanders left to clean up the president's remarks.
I don't think that we expect the budget deal to include specifics on the immigration reform, but we want to get a deal on that. As we've said, we don't want to hold the government hostage over these items.
Late Tuesday, Senator Lindsey Graham also indicating the Senate may be making progress on immigration.
Talk about a cuck.
I felt really bad yesterday. I feel better today. People are, I think we've got a way forward that seems to be fair to everybody. We're back in the ball game now.
This effort coming amid backlash.
I hate it when people call it a game. I hate it.
Because
I don't.
You're affecting real people, and people don't want to be played like a game.
Yep.
I agree.
Yeah. Oh man, that gets me. I know. It's also
because you and I, your family, our families, everyone's families, they're held in the balance.
What do we always say, buddy? What do we always say?
Show me the money.
Show me the money! Just as President Trump is pushing for a massive increase in the Pentagon's budget, a new audit says the Defense Department has lost hundreds of millions of dollars.
What? I'm sorry, what?
Lost?
National Security Correspondent Jennifer Griffin has the latest tonight from the Pentagon.
The Pentagon can't account for $800 million.
Oh, could you imagine? Could you imagine that kind of problem where you can't? Could you imagine? You can't.
I wish I knew what I did with my $800 million.
I'm honestly asking you for a moment to just conceptualize, like you're trying to like just take care of your home financing, and you can't account for $800 million. Jesus, what kind of reality is that?
This is the kind of shit. I'm going to say, I don't cuss much on this show.
No, you don't.
But this is the kind of shit that really grinds my gears.
And that, people, is what grinds my gears. Tom?
No, outro, fair enough. This is our money, okay? If you're an American, and you work hard, we all work hard, we want to take care of our families, we have to budget every single penny, yet the government can just waste money away. And I don't care who's in office. You're wasting our money? This is bullcrap. This is really bullcrap.
The Pentagon can't account for $800 million. That, according to a shocking internal audit of the Defense Logistics Agency done by Ernst & Young.
Do you have a sense, too, that $800 million is probably a low ball?
Oh, yeah. It's probably a low estimate. This is what they could figure out.
Yeah.
And there's no penalty for this. This is the part
unaccountable.
That bugs me.
The one thing that always gets more money is the Pentagon.
Chris, what happens if you don't pay your tax bill?
Oh, I get effed over.
I mean,
they literally just take money out of my account.
I mean, like if you didn't pay your state taxes for your business,
they just
what
come
would
from
happen?
me. They literally come from the money out of my bank account.
You would be done. You would be done. You would not be able to do anything else, and you would not be able to do your business any longer.
No, I'd be done.
But this can go on status
They just get more money.
Oh, my
Shocking
God.
internal audit of the Defense Logistics Agency done by Ernst & Young. The Department of Defense continues to have unresolved accounting issues and is unable to provide sufficient evidential support for complete and accurate financial statements on a timely basis, raising questions about how the Pentagon is managing taxpayer money. The White House plans to ask for billions more for defense on top of its current $700 billion budget, the largest in the federal bureaucracy. Last year, the Pentagon comptroller ordered an audit for the first time ever.
It's been
clear to me.
All I want to know, and by the way, this is not the first time. 10105 in the chat, by the way, put a nice video in there. Back in 2001, Donald Rumsfeld, $2.3 trillion. I remember. I vaguely remember this too.
Oh, it's funny because you know why it might stand out in your memory. Do you remember why that might stand out? Do you have any indication? It's because it was on September 10th, 2001.
Yeah.
September 10th.
Day before.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that very well.
I mean,
according to some estimates, we cannot track $2.3 trillion in transactions.
2.3 trillion with a T.
Yeah, the next day was 9/11.
Here's how you change these things. First, you get the districts right. Get rid of gerrymandering. We need to have it done by independent commissions, and we need to have not the ability for the politicians to pick voters. That needs to go for both sides. It needs to go, and then you need to start voting people out, and that's the only way this stuff changes. Until that happens, this is just par for the course, and we're gonna bitch about it every single day, but nothing will change.
Yeah, I like Rooker's. Rooker there in the Discord has a theory. That was all the money they spent on those white Toyotas.
We both went to the bell.
That's totally what it was.
That's right. A lot of Toyotas. Toyota, by the way, their stock went up. Miraculous. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. So, Mr. Chase,
yes, Chris.
Before we get out of here,
yes.
Before we get to the high note,
yeah.
Reclaiming my time.
Yeah.
Do we have anything in the sack this week?
No, but I will. I will fill in for the sack. I will jump into the sack. I did throw out a note.
You're going in. You're
I'm
own
going
sack?
in. I'm going in dry.
Your own sack.
I did say, hey, everyone, some week, you got Carter Page, you got Trump calling for a shutdown, you got the Pentagon planning for a parade, which I don't know if you talked about that in the overtime.
Huh? Yeah.
Don't get me started on that. The memo.
Yeah, the overtime's great.
The
Stay tuned.
The record drop on the Dow.
Oh yeah,
the Dow Jones. 1,500 points. It's crazy, and it was only Wednesday.
I'm sorry. I'm too busy watching Bitcoin fall like a.
Oh, that's funny in its own right. All I was gonna say is, in regarding first the Dow. Hey, you guys, if you're in the Generation X age range, you still got 20, 30 years to go, probably on average. Don't stress. Just let it go. It's all right. Let it go. It's gonna be fine.
I'm just breathing. I'm breathing.
It's gonna be fine.
I'm breathing.
But all I got to say is, make sure that you're engaged, that you analyze your data, not from a bubble point of view.
Man.
Really try to push yourself out there. That's one thing I really respect Chris and producer Matt in this show, and that is we really try to get clips from all sources. We had a CNN in there. I think we had an MSNBC. RT definitely was in there.
CBS Morning.
Independent content with Mr. Swan.
Yeah.
So we have stuff all over the place. And I just want to say a big thanks to all of you guys who really do believe in what we're doing over at patreon.com/unfilter. That's the place where you can go. You can jump into Club 33 and you can provide me feedback every single week if you want to, or this week. Take a relaxer, because I know some of our Club 33ers are like, all right, that's it. I just need to literally unplug for this week. So
it happens. We'll keep going as long as you support us.
Yes.
And
no matter the messages.
And we do have the overtime coming up to say thank you to our patrons over there. You guys are great. And yeah, patreon.com/unfilter.
Absolutely.
Go sign up.
Yes.
All right, buddy. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Mommy needs a joint.
Mommy.
Every now and then, even when you're the pioneer, you have to experience a few glitches. And I think Washington State decided to roll out something on the back end, and it bit them on the front end.
There's been panic in some pot shops, all because they haven't been able to accept new deliveries. It comes down to an application bug in the tracking system.
Have you heard about this?
No, I have not.
Okay, so this is right here on the in the Washington, and apparently
I see this network I don't recognize, but that's okay.
Yeah, you don't recognize them because they're the competitors. Yeah. Anyway, they are experiencing a bit of a glitch during an upgrade to the pot tracking system.
Accept new deliveries. It comes down to an application bug in the tracking system. The state says that issue came up Saturday and it's all fixed.
Oh.
But business owners tell King 5's Natalie Swaby they're still dealing with problems.
We fixed the glitch.
I don't know what that is supposed to be.
Is that supposed to be like some birds?
What animal? You lived in Washington.
Yeah.
What animal is that?
I don't want to know.
Problems.
I don't know what animal that is.
I don't know what that is either.
Anybody in the comments or the Discord, please let us know. As a lifelong Washington resident, I could not tell you what animal that's supposed to be.
So we are super low on product right now.
High demand and low supply.
What we got is what we got.
At the Herbal Center, they've been dealing with that problem for a few days.
For all of our edibles, there's about one of everything. That's all we have.
Manager Aisha Molnis has had to tell one customer after another.
Right now we kind of have a little shout out to why. And a lot of customers aren't familiar with what the traceability system even is. So it's explaining something to them they don't even understand.
Yeah. Here, it's mandatory.
That's government bureaucracy at work, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, and
right there.
And as somebody who has been involved in a back-end IT system switch, and the front-end users have no idea what they're even working with, and then they have to explain it to customers, it is just bad all around, and that's what's happening right now. These are growing pains, ladies and gentlemen.
So it's explaining explaining something to them they don't even understand.
Here, it's mandatory. All marijuana must be tracked from seed to sale according to state law.
We're super proud of that. Seed to sale, seed to sale.
And the system that does that had a glitch.
So for us, what that means is if it's not up and running, we can't legally sell stuff. So the products that come to us, we can't sell to customers.
That just leaves what was on shelves before the tracking trouble.
On any given time, we probably work with like 50 different vendors, and they're all having issues.
The thing that they're not actually explaining very well is that the vendors are delivering the product, and they have the product, they just can't sell it.
Right, because everything has to be traced.
These products are ready to go. They're ready to go out to stores, and the stores can't accept them.
At Green Brothers Farms,
It's quite the problem for us.
Andre Pylon
It's hurting us. It's hurting us big time.
has $14,000 worth of orders just sitting because here things are on hold.
We're bleeding. We're bleeding dry, and we're not going to be able to pay payroll. We're not going to be able to pay our power bill.
For this
Now,
small farm,
I have a side comment on that. And my side comment
What is it, buddy?
My side comment is, and I'm a small business owner. You're a small business owner. You don't put yourself in that position, and that's honestly, you're putting yourself in that. There's no excuse. He was not prepared to weather an emergency situation.
The only justification I could give him,
I'd love to hear it,
is that it is such a new business just to begin with.
But to be fair,
that he's only probably 2 years into this.
I know, but to be fair,
you don't really have a lot of time to build up a parachute 1 or 2 years, because a lot of times you're reinvesting all revenues back into the biz.
Okay, but not even like you could weather a week or a couple of weeks.
That's the part I kind of agree with you on, because I think that's what we're talking about.
He has to disrupt payroll.
I think we're talking about just a couple of weeks here.
Yeah, that tells me maybe you need to look at your books and
right.
Yeah. Cut
But
expenses. But
I bet you this is not super uncommon.
That's
because
true, too.
It's new businesses, and a lot of these people are figuring out how to run a business for the first time. Like you and I have had LLCs or Incs for like years now, but these guys, they're just doing this for the first couple of years.
And actually, you know what? I thought of something that I didn't even consider.
What?
A lot of these guys can't even do the traditional funding methods. They can't go to a bank and get an actual loan, because the banks will not give them loans because of the federal blocking of this stuff.
That's a good
So you know what? I take back some of what I said there, because a lot of these guys have to run a cash business on this stuff. So you know what? Okay.
And then if you're like, okay, now I got to pay a security guy, I got to get cameras, and then all of a sudden, boom, I don't have funding.
Yeah, I get a little bit on that. All right.
Dry.
Sorry,
and we're not going to be able to pay payroll. We're not going to be able to pay our power bill.
For this small farm, the glitch is a big burden. But according to the state's Liquor and Cannabis Board, a fix was rolled out yesterday. An application bug and a new traceability system caused sporadic problems, but the system should be functioning now.
I will believe it when I see it.
Andre says it's not working for him.
Looks like I've noticed some of my products have come over from this system into the new system, but they're not talking back and forth.
Did the state ever explain why they had to switch to this new system and cause the disruption in the first place?
No, but do you agree that when that guy says that, like, you have heard that a billion times?
And you hear that about any other government entity
or any application migration.
Yeah.
Any time you're moving from one system to another, one database to another.
Yeah.
And it really triggers like the support person in me who's been there. And so like I totally understand where the state's coming. Like maybe they had so here's the thing is our pot system is being regulated by the Alcohol and Liquor Board.
Yeah. Well, now they're calling themselves the Liquor and Cannabis Board.
Thank you. The Liquor and Cannabis Board. It wouldn't surprise me if the system that they had in place was to track liquor, and then they realized
and they just kind of lumped it in, and
they just made it work.
And it's getting so big that they had to create a new system.
Exactly.
Right.
And so then they have to go through this transition.
But still, I think you would warn your retailers and your suppliers and everybody and say, hey, we're going to move over.
Have
on
you
this
ever
date.
moved somebody from like one exchange server to another, and like you go through all of the things, you got all the boxes checked?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's still never perfect.
We did a migration from a local exchange to Office 365.
Yeah.
And oh my God.
Yeah. Like you think you got everything figured out, you got all the use cases figured out, and it's still something breaks. I feel like that's what happened here.
This is a story here. I mean, yes,
and this is going to happen in states everywhere.
Yeah, and I know this is high note, but this actually is a great example to show sometimes the incompetencies of government right here.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Because they don't have enough funding to do enough testing. They don't have enough users out there. They couldn't put support personnel out at the individual stores.
Or competition. Or or a good
Nobody's
vendor.
doing a different job.
Or a good vendor. I don't know if they vended out to multiple people for this contract or for the system. It makes you ask a lot more questions.
For him,
looks like I've noticed some of my products have come over from this system into the new system, but they're not talking back and forth.
God, man, if I haven't heard that a trillion times.
I know.
That just really, that part right there.
That's government. I mean, that with a capital G right there, man.
And back in this shop,
He was about to leave because we didn't have what he was looking for.
this manager is worried about keeping the shelves stocked.
The Liquor and Cannabis Board has its regular board meeting tomorrow, and I'm told people with concerns about this new traceability system plan to be there and protest. In Tenino, Natalie Swaby, King 5 News.
They're going to protest, but this is obviously just the direction things have to go. They have this new system.
They have to grow.
Yeah, they're going to have to work it out.
Yeah.
I have a funny story to share that I've never talked about on the show before. But up in Skagit County, which is, 25 minutes north of the studio here,
Yep.
I was heading out east on Highway 20, and I went past a pot shop.
Okay.
And it was a duplex. And I tell you, if this wasn't the most brilliant combination I had ever seen, when I saw this, and this was a year ago, I thought, this is the future. And this next clip it kind of highlights it perfectly.
Is it Girl Scout cookies and then the pot shop? Oh my God!
God,
really,
you're good, dude? You're so good.
This young lady is One Smart Cookie, an enterprising Girl Scout set out to make some sales and some news. She set up her cookie wagon right outside a marijuana dispensary in San Diego.
So I'm going out on Highway 20 here in Washington State, and I swear I go past this pot shop, and it's half pot shop, and the other half is a bakery / sandwich shop.
Oh, and fresh smells.
Yes.
And oh God, I bet.
And you know what
Holy
they call
crap.
themselves?
What?
Munchies. How brilliant is that? So it's one building, half of it's a pot shop, the other half is a bakery and sandwich shop called Munchies.
And by the way, the Girl Scouts of America.
Yeah.
Because,
don't spoil it, dude.
Oh,
don't spoil it.
I didn't know that was in here.
Oh,
go,
yeah,
go,
man.
go, go, go.
She set up her cookie wagon right outside a marijuana dispensary in San Diego. Travis Rice of KTVX has her story.
It's either bad parenting or genius marketing, depending on how you feel about the green stuff.
It's adorable.
Cell phone video shows a 9-year-old selling Girl Scout cookies out of a wagon near a marijuana dispensary. The girl's father wants he and his daughter to remain anonymous, but says she sold 312 boxes in 2 3-hour trips on Wednesday and Friday. This Instagram post from the dispensary, Urban Leaf, even advertised the girl would be outside.
We all looked at that, and our first inclination was it must be a booth sale because it said until 4 p.m.
Allison Bouchon with Girl Scouts San Diego says they saw the social media post back at HQ and had to consult the book.
That's the Bible for you guys.
This is our family cookie guide.
The Girl Scouts allow booth sales generally in front of any business, even dispensaries, once they're approved. Bouchon says this would have been a major no-no if the girl had a table at the door, but the wagon off-site changes everything.
So if that's what they were doing and they had their cart and they were walking around their community, then that is right and well within the rules.
As for hundreds of boxes sold in a few hours, the competition has just begun.
From a sales standpoint, she has done all right, but
You know what? I like stories like this because first off, you got a cool dad that gets it.
Yeah.
You got a daughter's like, hey, I just need to sell cookies, Dad.
Mhm.
This is great all the way around. I love it.
Also, is that like some sort of weird pyramid scheme? I would like the audience's feedback on that as well.
Please.
Let me know.
Yes.
Because that sounds creepy when I think about it.
Yes.
But it's genius. Like if I had a food RV, like if I could convert Lady Jupes into a food RV, I would serve food right outside a popular pot shop.
Oh, yes.
That just seems obvious. Anyways, let us know your great business ideas. Go to jupiterbroadcasting.com/contact. Choose Unfilter there, or let me know. I'm at Chris LAS. You can also let that guy know what you think. He's at Nunes.
That's right. You can actually see the real memo releasedmemo.com, by the way. You can check that out.
Check that out.
The real memo. Hey, by the way, also, I do a lot of Twitch gaming streams, twitch.tv/geekgamertv. Also have a Discord, discord.gg/geekgamertv as well.
Powerful
stuff.
Now, the show's not quite over yet. If you've got a little more time, I recommend you stick around for the overtime. We'll go into further detail on some of the stories we've covered. We'll continue some other stories like Chase's favorite topic, the Vegas shooting.
Oh, man. Man.
But if you got to go, then why don't you go get a little more newness in your face, Chase? Where could they go to get more newness in their face?
Well, at Newness on Twitter.
No.
What do you mean?
Give me something else.
Newness-versus-newness.com.
Nope. I want something else.
I don't know, man.
What about geekgamer.tv?
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That's right,
I'm
geekgamer.tv.
just saying, yeah.
It's a good hub.
Yeah.
It's a good place to go.
Also, you can find more of the network at Jupiter Signal.
That's right.
Go over there. I'm at Chris LAS. Boom. Patreon.com/Unfilter is where you can support us. And why don't you join us live? Go to jupiterbroadcasting.com/calendar to get our live time, and we'll stream it Wednesdays at jblive.tv. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you right back here
next week.
Badoosh. All right.
Badoosh.
JB titles. What do we got?
Did you watch the Superb Owl over the...
No, I actually did not watch the Super Bowl.
You did not?
I have watched a lot of the commercials, but I actually did not. Not only was I working Sunday, but then after that, it was really flooded here in Washington. So I went up north.
Yeah.
This is a really weird tale, but it is actually what happened. Is I went up north to go watch the Super Bowl at a bar, and it was so flooded that I ended up driving essentially through a lake for like an hour, and it took me a long time to get to the bar, and by the time I got to the bar, it was packed, and then by the time I made it back to civilization, the Super Bowl was over. So
it was a great game. It was fun to watch. The commercials were good. The 30 seconds of silence was great from a technical perspective. I don't know if you heard about that.
No.
So there was a technical error with NBC where an ad was supposed to fire off from an automated system, but it never did.
Love
it. So there was literally about 20 seconds of black nationally. It was just black, and everybody was freaking out. And so from the inside ball perspective, basically they saw that there was a glitch. It was supposed to be a 60-second ad, and they were about 15, 20 seconds in, and they're like, it's not fired. It didn't go.
Really?
We need to go back to the stadium now. And so the director, instead of shitting a brick, he's like, all right, we got to go back. It's like you're turned into a robot, and you go back, and they got back to the stadium, and like no one really knew what happened, but then they acknowledged it's a really neat story.
That's
about
weird.
that. But no, the commercials were great.
I did not see
Halftime show was kind of meh.
Yeah, I just
NBC. By the way, here's another thing. NBC said no fireworks.
If the Seahawks aren't in it, I just have a hard time.
Look at you, home.
I know.
You homeboy.
Shift hole submitted by Big Kitty.
Phantom suggesting Ben Swan is a brony. The hashtag.
New nothingness news. Adams Russia Schiff. Big Schiff Burger. Big Schiff Burger. That's pretty good.
That's funny.
I liked,
nice play.
And I submitted, so obviously I'm biased, Double Nothing Burger.
Double Nothing Burger.
But it's not as good as, what was the other one? What did I just say? What was it that we laughed
Shift
about?
Burger?
No, it was better than that. God dang it, Chase. One job. What was it? The Big Shift Burger. Big Shift Burger. Was that what we laughed about?
Yeah, it was Big Shift Burger. I think so.
I used Adam Schiff as the artwork last week.
I know, and you love him, and I know you have lots of pictures you could use for future album art, but I don't know if we should do Schiff again.
Man, if there's one person, if I could walk into one person at a glory hole and have my camera recording and hold him hostage until he answered my questions, it would be Adam Schiff.
I would love to have him on the record conversation.
Here's the question: if Adam Schiff's at a glory hole, is he getting his dick sucked or is he sucking dick? I think he's sucking dick. That's the thing about Adam Schiff.
This is why, and
this is gonna get him. This video just got demonetized.
Yeah,
right there.
thanks.
But that was just honest. I'm just wondering.
I know.
if we could talk about these things as people, I think it would be a lot more comfortable with each other.
Right.
We all take shits. We've all looked at dicks. I mean, we should, but we can't because YouTube will demonetize us. It's a sad future.
It's sensitive content, and advertisers would not prefer that.
Yeah.
Demonetized.
Did you see that last week's episode got completely pulled?
It was insta-pull.
We got all. That's what all our emails were about this week. Was it?
Where'd it go? Where'd it go?
Yeah.
I
think I disputed all of it. Let me check real quick. But I actually disputed all of them, and I think I was actually eventually vindicated.
But see, this is the problem. Oh, there's another problem with YouTube, right? It's like you're guilty. You have to prove as innocent.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. So now it's actually so I was vindicated on all three. So we had three different claims against us, and I disputed all of them. They all cleared, but now the video's got 2,000 less views than it would have.
Actually, that's one thing that I noticed right away, is the view count was low, and that's because you
But even though now a week later, oh yeah, sorry, you were correct, you didn't do anything wrong, but you can't make up for the fact that the video is unavailable during peak release. But there's just no way to make up for that.
But Chris, if you're a Casey Neistat or Logan, whatever the guy is,
go film a dead dude.
Yeah, then you would get the pass.
Isn't that amazing though? So our video is completely 100% vindicated. It has been completely cleared, and it is now monetized.
Jeez, but you lost the momentum on it.
Yeah, it'll never go above.
No,
it'll never go above 800 and something views. It just sucks. And it's not the views that matter. It's just like if you look at our feedback, exactly.
It's the initial exposure.
We missed it. We missed it that week for a ton of our listeners and viewers. We just missed it.
Oh, well, and not only that, because politics moves so fast and tweets get pushed out so quickly that you lose the momentum.
It's probably going to happen again this week because I probably dropped an F word somewhere in there.
Yep. Well, Russia Today is going to take us down, and I understand.
Yeah, they'll have a disclosure funded by the audience. So what do you think we should go with? Double Nothing Burger. Look, you take a look at the Discord, see if there's anything you like in there. We got to title this SOB.
Yes, we do.
We got to get out of here. You and I got to go home. What do you? Oh man, part of me thinks
shift, shower, and shave.
Part of me thinks
does a fancy fair.
Are you gonna go out and get food after this? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah.
You got you don't have to be home. You can be at home whenever the.
Well, I do have to be home. I have to feed the cats and take care of my boys.
You're gonna go to Panda, aren't you?
No. I'm gonna go. They don't have a drive-through. I'm just gonna probably go to KFC or something.
Bachelor lifestyle. I'm gonna.
I do miss my wife.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Is she? You think she's listening?
Oh no.
Oh yeah.
She never listens to this show. Never.
All right. Well, anyways, we got to pick a title.
I think it has to be about the memo. It has to relate to the memo somewhere.
That's probably a good idea.
I like these titles. They're funny plays on words, but they don't relate to the memo, unfortunately.
Okay, we need something about the memo. So I want to, so for a little sanity check, let's go see what our title was last week, because I kind of think it was about the
Big
memo.
Kitty's not bad. Memo Meltdown. I know it's a little generic, but it
does.
Well,
here's the red flag. Memo Madness is the title last week.
Oh.
Yeah. Last week is Memo
it was
Madness.
This is the Meltdown, but remember, we still have a potential second memo.
Memo Results. Memo... So we did Memo Madness last week.
Yeah.
So if we're gonna go memo, it's got to be like good. It's got to be really good, or we got to go completely something different because.
Oh, how about? Did you see the memo?
Damn. Yeah, this fucking memo has been like dominating the news for 3 weeks. That's the problem. That's the problem. It's been the story now for 3 damn weeks, and we haven't even gotten the Democratic memo yet. So it could be this could be a month-long story of what a story arc of this whole damn thing.
Yeah.
The memo, okay. So if we did Memo Madness last week, I mean, I don't know. I'm legit out of ideas. I really don't like Adam Schiff, though.
I know you don't.
You know, I like
You guys still send holiday cards to each other?
Yeah, of
Okay,
course.
all right.
I mean, we talk on Skype all the time.
I know.
Give me a break.
I know. Telegram.
You know,
Telegram,
you're not
it's
going to like
secure.
this, but I like Devin Nunes more than I like.
So let's get the inside story on the memo from the man in charge.
No!
Devin Nunes is the chairman of the House Intelligence.
You know what? He
I
lost
like him more than I like
But he
Schiff.
lost all credibility when he said, "Oh, Papadopoulos never met with freaking Trump," which is a lie.
I just like
It's
him.
a straight lie.
All I'm saying is I like him more than Schiff. I'm not saying I like him. I'm
I
just
kinda
saying
like him too.
I like him more
He's
than
got
Schiff.
my last name, so I can't hate him all.
I like him more than Schiff. But we need a title. A very Schiff memo. No.
Did you get the memo? A question.
Did you get the memo?
Did you get the memo?
You know, that's better than anything I've seen so far.
Yeah.
I'm not saying
And
it's 100%, but
I know.
I'm like
But
80
we-
on board with that.
But we haven't had a question title in a while. Did you get the memo?
Did you get the memo?
Right. And then actually, since you hate Schiff so much, the album art can be an actual picture of the memo.
I like Did You Get the Memo more than anything else I've seen so far tonight. All right, here's what I say. Are you ready for what I say? I say we give the chat room and the Discord room one loop of the
the opening.
No, of the chat room quiz.
Oh, okay.
To submit something better. But did you get the memo?
Did you get the memo?
Okay, here we go.
We are now playing a game called Password, and the password is memo.
There was a memo by Big Kitty coming in.
Yep, there was a memo.
Memo Burger. Memo Burger's not bad. Okay, all right, okay, hold on. All right, hold on.
Memo Deluxe.
Hold on. Memo Deluxe is not bad. Because let's consider the intro for a second.
Yeah.
The release of this memo is really reminiscent of the darkest days of the McCarthy era.
Imagine if Devin Nunes is feeding us a nothing burger.
Talk about a nothing burger.
What about the Memo Burger?
This is extremely dangerous manipulation of information in order to discredit an investigation.
Oh, for goodness sakes, the memo. It could be momentous or it could be a great big nothing burger.
I can say it's worse than a nothing burger. It's like having nothing mustard.
I would actually extrapolate it out a little bit more. I'd be like, a nothing burger with a side of nothing mustard.
Yeah, that's too long,
I
though.
know, it's funny. I would say memo burger.
Memo with cheese.
Memo with cheese.
Memo with cheese.
Memo with cheese with a side of no memo sauce.
Memo with cheese.
Memo with cheese.
Isn't bad, although it's really obtuse.
I know. Actually, no, it plays into the opening clip very well because of the memo burger, and if people clicked on it, they'd be like, "Oh, I get it."
Memo with cheese.
Memo with cheese. Actually, that's pretty funny.
You like it? You want to go with it? I mean, it's definitely not gonna bring anybody into the show, but that's okay.
No. It's all about the patrons. I've always said that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to just go with Memo with cheese?
I like memo with cheese.
All right, buddy.
That works with me.
You know what?
I like it.
You know what? I'll give that. I'll give that a.
I don't know who got it first. I see 10105 has it in their memo with cheese. I don't know if anybody else said that.
I'm not going to dignify that with an answer.
Props to Big Kitty for throwing a suggestion in that general direction that got us here. So double credits all the way around.
I say Boulder Dash.
Phantom's like, no!
I know, it's
almost
rough.
won.
It's
I know.
rough, right?
I got to say, to get a title in and you be the picker, it's tough, man. We have a tough audience, good, smart people out there. I know. It's tough.
You got to love them.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you very much for being here. Let's go with it. What do you say? Memo with cheese?
That works for me, and now I'm ready. That makes me kind of hungry, and so I'm going to go see Reba, and I'm going to go have some KFC.
You freaking bachelor. All right, guys.
Yeah,
thank
buddy.
you for being here. We'll see you next week. Keep an eye out for a new Tech Snap. See you later.
Oh, wait. Tech Snap's tomorrow?